Hello and welcome to the Hawks Nest live stream post-game reaction. I can already see in the chat it's going to be a tough one today. I don't blame you guys. I'm feeling similar. This was a game where finally the chickens they came home to roost. I've been predicting for a while at some point or another it's going to show up. You've been holding on by the seat of your pants throughout this whole season, hoping and praying you can just get by with your pass rush. Maybe Jamal Adams will be enough. Maybe the young guys can step up. If you're not thoroughly, finally, one of the people that's still sitting on that other side of the fence thinking this is just going to fix itself, then you're not paying attention to what is happening on the football field. There's good to talk about in this game. It won't be all negative tonight. I certainly knew with over this next 5-game stretch that the Seahawks were probably going to go 3-2 at the best case scenario. So having a loss in there on the road in Arizona, I'm okay with that. I'm good. Not the end of the world. But we're going to need to dive in deep tonight on this defense. I'll get to the chat in a second. But I have said this so many times, I think, on every live stream show since the game ended against the Packers at the end of the year last year. The game ended, and I said, here is what we need to do. Go get the defensive line help. Go address the defensive line. Not just one or two guys. This was obvious to me as a layman, as an analyst, as a talking head on YouTube. Guy doing this in his living room. So why is it they are so hesitant to address this huge, massive issue? You can't throw 50 yards down the field if the quarterback can't get 7-step drops. You know what kills 7-step drops? Pass rush. No sacks tonight. No pressures. The softest defense I've seen this side is Sharman. Let's get to the chat. Ian Mills asks if the defense needs a lot of work. Maybe a trade or what? I hope so. Again, this is not a single man issue. You guys can mention Carlos Dunlap Wheeler and welcome Wheeler, welcome Goat, welcome TJ Wilburn, Mouse 6, Chris. Hello, everybody. We'll get into the chat here. We can mention Carlos Dunlap. We can mention Ryan Kerrigan. Is that going to fix that, what we saw on the football field tonight? Is that going to fix that? You generated almost no pass rush tonight. I understand some of this is you're going to pass rush a guy like Kyler Murray, a lot of ways the same way that teams pass rush Russell Wilson. But there is actually kind of a book to how to do it. You can still be effective at it. And outside of a couple blips here and there, a pass rush where you almost got home, there was no pressure. There's no quarterback hits. They're comfortable in the pocket. They're sitting back there doing whatever they want, whatever they feel. And we've got to hope and pray that they throw some wild ball for some weird reason. Like we saw with Murray on the interception to Diggs, where it's not like Diggs jumped a route, but Murray just overthrew a guy wildly. You can't rely on that as a defense. And it really sucks to see because you have a quarterback in Russell Wilson playing at the level he did. Now, Russell threw his interceptions. He played not a good game, and he's starting to trend a little bit downwards from his level to a degree here. Some of that is, we're going to go into this on the schematics of that, but man, they've got to do something with this defense. It's more than Carlos Dunlap, folks. That's not going to be enough. That's not going to be enough right now. If we're talking about Super Bowl, you want to talk about playoffs, you want to talk about a division title, great. We can talk about that lens of things. You want to talk about the Super Bowl and winning the Super Bowl. That AFC's got a lot of good, complete teams over there. You've got a defense that can stop nobody through the air. I don't know how you get to the Super Bowl with that right now. I don't know how you do. Maybe you guys can tell me in the chat. Maybe you can explain it to me. The GOAT says, I hope they both get traded for a 7th rounder. I don't know who you're saying on that. The GOAT, trade Flowers for something, even a 7th round pick. There's no guarantee right now that Flowers gives you any kind of trade value. There's nothing that you get back in return for him. There's not a better guy behind him right now at that corner position. It's just a little weak, and we're a little light over there, and we can't take too many injuries like we've had. We've had a starter out now since the start of the season here or there. If it's not Dunbar, then it's now Shaq tonight. We lose him really early on in this game. And TJ says that it's Wilburn. Sorry, TJ, I mispronounced it again. I'm in such a bad, tough mood after this. I'm just... but he says the offense was garbage in the second half and the defense was playing good. I don't know if I'd say the defense was playing good necessarily. I don't know at any point tonight that I said that. Maybe they stopped the run early on in the game, but they're not generating any pass rush. And maybe they've got good pieces in the back end. They can do some other good things, but getting a stop inside the goal line after the DK, tackle where he runs the guy down, that's fine. But if our metric is the defense played good in that second half, and that's the metric now for what I don't know. I'm not on board with that. And from the offensive side of the standpoint, they just schematically, they continue to go away from this, and I don't know why over and over again. They will start out the game with the short passing game. It'll work well for them. Then the deep plays hit over the top. Look to the Dallas Cowboy game as an example of this. Short passes here, bang, 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 bang. Then you got the deep pass over the top as the defense starts to suck in. This is not conceptually difficult football, folks. And they do it again today in this game. Started out with some early short passes, and then bam, you start hitting them over the top. But then, just like with the Dallas game, they fell in love with that deep ball. They fell in love with those deep routes down the football field and stopped taking those check down passes as much. They went back a little bit towards the end of the game, a little bit towards it. But, boy, it continues to be one of those things where they just fall in love with that Russell, get him some moonshot throws in there. And I love those shots along with anybody else. But when there's easy 7, 8, 9 yard completions that you're leaving out there because you're not even sending a guy out in a route a lot of times, you're not doing your offense a lot of favors with that. And boy, they just did not have any, whatever the Cardinals did in their adjustment, be it those blitz schemes or however they're running it, our offense did not have another wrinkle that they could turn back towards them on it. Wheeler says, replace Norton. At this point, I'm ready for Norton to go. The soft zones, as they're running it up the field there at the end, when he doesn't even try to throw a blitz, doesn't even try to get exotic in any way, shape, or form, whether it worked or not, you sit there and you go, my God, man, try something. Try something. You're sitting back in the cover 2 look, press to the zone, and then you get the other side of the ball, where their defensive coordinator is being so inventive, and he's got no Chandler Jones and nobody that can naturally generate any pass rush. But when they needed it, when the game was on the line, they were able to get some sacks on Wilson. They were able to create some creative type blitzes. Mausick says, trade Flowers and Norton. Man, if we only could. Wheeler, the defense was gassed. What game did you watch? The defense was gassed because they allowed drive after drive throughout this game. They mentioned it early on in the telecast, Wheeler, of how many drives were 76, 80-yard drives up the football field. They can't get any 3 and outs. They can't get any early. It's always on to the other side of the football field. It's great to get field goals here and there, but to me, again, you're not able to generate any pass rush, so the quarterback's always able to complete those third downs, even when they're third and longs. And maybe, again, everybody's going to disagree with me on the chat. I'm open to disagreement in this channel for sure. So if you disagree on what you're seeing, you think the defense wasn't the problem in this game, that it's actually Russell Wilson's 3 interception is what lost us this game, okay. I'm open to disagreement on that. Idaho Invader, what's up? Nathaniel, hello. I'm a little bit behind on the chat here, sorry. I try to get fast. I had my opening thoughts here. Sorry about that. Daniel Thomas Music, how you doing? It was a great game. You got to give it that. The Seahawks teams every single week, whether you love it or hate it, whether it puts your heart to test, they are always going to give you an entertaining football game, like it or not, kicking and screaming. Wheeler, the offense did their job and put up 34 points. You can't expect them to carry the team. No, I wouldn't. Wheeler, you're saying 2 different things here. The defense was gassed. What game did you watch? But then you say the offense did their job and put up 34 points. You can't expect them to carry the game. Who lost us this game then? Whose blame do you put it on at that point? TJ says $70 million wasted. Yep, it was $50 million, I think, technically speaking. Maybe more, maybe less. But certainly the way that they spent that money on free agents this offseason doesn't appear to be necessarily money well spent, especially when you look at the defensive line and the pass rush right now. Sniper, 95 through the game. You're Benson Mayoa with that move over the top. Yeah, that was tough on the field goal kick. I mean, it's a tough call. They've got to call it in that case, I think, but then it's because he's offsides. I don't know. It's a rough one. Daniel Thomas says, don't blame the defense. The Cardinals were too good and we couldn't stop them. We should just become Card fans now. I will never give up on my team. The GOAT 209 says 0 quarterback hits, 0 sacks. What does it take for Pete to realize his defense is horrible? And this is my frustration, folks, is it's not just this game and just this moment. It's the fact that game after game this season and what we've seen throughout the year has been a lack of My monitor just went out on me. This is the kind of day we're having. Come on now. Let me see if I get this back here. Okay, we're good. Whew. It's been game after game. Cam Newton, who the 49ers just put into a shell of himself, sat back in that pocket for how long in those games we watched? Dak Prescott, Matt Ryan. We've seen this week after week against not the top end of the line of the competition. That's what this really comes down to, is what more data does the front office need? What more data does Pete Carroll need? I don't know what it is. What would they need to see for a trade at this point as far as that defensive line goes? Is it just an injury? What would they need to see as far as data goes? 0 quarterback hits, 0 sacks. And you've seen this game after game after game. Jose Rodriguez, how you doing? Spider Rico, what's up? So many stupid penalties, many stupid penalties. I thought this was the worst officiated game of our season so far. The officials I was not happy with in this game. I won't blame it on the officials. I'll just say I wasn't super happy with how it was officiated. Matthias, when that DK touchdown came back, I turned the game off, couldn't watch it and hold on, but it's still rough. That was a rough one to have called back. And though I will knock the officials overall for the game, that particular play and the Benson Mayowa play, I can't ding him for. He did pull and hold. It did that. The guy could have gotten that tackle on a key third down. So it wasn't a play I got to pull on and say that that was a BS call. It was, you sure hope they would just hold on to their flags in that moment, but it's there. He pulls up, you can see it. Idaho Invader says it bugs me that needing just one first down, we ran it up the gut 3 times and didn't let Russ run or pass once. We need a sense of urgency, knowing, and I mean knowing, we weren't going to stop them. Idaho Invader, if I could put your comments up in big letters right now, I would. This is exactly what I tweeted out the second I saw it. It reminded me of a game last year against the Philadelphia Eagles, where you're in a similar situation. You need a first down. It's third down. You could just run it up the gut again and get some time off the clock, but instead you let Russ take a shot down the field at DK. You trust Russ. Put it in his hands. I don't want it in running back's hands or on offensive line's hands. I'll put it in Russ's hands in that moment and let him go and trust him. And I sure wish on that third down that they had done that rather than hoping that getting the extra 45 seconds that they were gaining off the clock to go and trust their defense. Why you would in any way, shape, and form trust this defense right now with your coaching decision-making is crazy. Alexander Senderstrom, it's our defensive coordinator. We have the personnel to be decent, but this is horrible. I can't argue. I mean, I can't disagree with you, Alexander. I mean, what look did he provide once tonight over 50 snaps that Kyler must have had throwing the football that you went, wow, that was inventive, that was creative? I can point to probably a dozen of the Cardinals. He can't give you one in a game. And then his base schematics break down all the time. They still get beat deep, which is supposed to be the tried and true thing that's not supposed to happen in this scheme. Matthias, Russ had some out-of-character throws, it felt like. It did. I think the game got a little up over his skis a little bit as the game went on. It seemed like he wasn't as confident in his pre-snap reads. And just some of his throws, he was just a little bit, I think, muddled on where to go with. Again, you see on a lot of those throws, it's sometimes the touch throws and going deep down the field. The one to Carson early on is just inexcusable. You're throwing a soft, flat route. You know the defender's coming downhill quick. I know that he had a little bit of pass rush in his face, so that rushed the throw a little bit in that situation, but that one still really hurt as far as the throw goes. Yeah, Jose says, I need a hug after this game. I do too. I do too, man. Daniel Polak, I've seen a lot of excuses from Hawk fans these past few weeks because apparently yards allowed don't matter at all, and it's somehow a sustainable formula. I agree, Daniel. I mean, I'm not normally going to harp on yards in itself. I'll be willing to say, like, I'm not as worried about this. This is fine as long as we're not giving up points. But when it gets to the point that you're on pace to give up more yards in the air than anyone else in NFL history, then at that point, we all need to take a step back and go, this needs improvement. Not, let's stay the course and hope it figures its way out of this puzzle. Sniper says, yeah, he might have. I don't think he threw the game. Mayo was just trying to hard play, and he jumped off sides. Anthony Bain, Seattle had a chance to draft Julian Akawara, yet they took Jordan Brooks. Yeah, I think they also had they could have gotten the kid out of Penn State as well. Anthony, who's having a good year as a pass rusher. Head-scratching move at the time. Still a head-scratching move right now. TJ Russ got hit late, and he took a minute to get up. Scared the hell out of me. Yeah, he landed right on his knee. It's one of those ones where you went, oh, no. He had a couple today that I was, the one where he, I think, smacked up against Patrick Peterson, where I was holding my breath. Alexander says our time was up. Yep, we just didn't get it done today. I don't think that this doesn't mean we're downhill for the rest of the year, folks. This doesn't mean that this is a death knell for us. We're still one loss into this season. We're still in the top of the division. We still have the whole year right up ahead of us with a very soft schedule. You can still win this thing. You can still go get home field advantage, but there are some fixins that I need a coming. Fun fact, the Hawks have the worst defense in the Super Bowl era. Ken Norton must go. He had the Legion of Boom and still managed to suck that up, and now this, fired Norton. I can't disagree with you, Nathaniel. Can't at all. Understand. Aztec Syndicate with the $5 donation. Thank you so much. I salute you, sir, and appreciate it. Big Carroll can't stop passing the ball with that lead, even after the Seahawks defense isn't great. It cost him the Super Bowl. 50 passes. Well, I do wonder if maybe they would have been able to run the ball a little bit more if Carson was in there. It seems like, though Carlos Hyde's doing well and he's running well, I think he is a little bit less than what you get in Chris Carson when he left the game. But I think it seemed like the running game was getting a little hemmed up as the second half went on. I'd have to double check the stats on that, Aztec, and thanks for that donation. But it looked like they were getting kind of stuck a little bit on the running game, and then they got pushed into those passes, and it was probably a few too many, I'll give you that. I would have liked to see maybe a little bit more running at times. And especially I think on some of those interceptions, those could have been easy, but if you're not going to run the ball, the thing you've got to go to, Aztec, is it's got to be 50 passes. I'm fine with, but you've got to integrate so much more of the short passing game at that point. The short crosser that we see early on to DK. Why didn't we see that again at any point in time? Why not just get the ball into his hands on a short crosser like that? But you just never saw a route like that again really run back through on the playbook. And I don't know why, because they're seemingly always there. They're easy completions for us when they actually set those routes out there. But we just don't see them very often. Alexander says Russ wasn't the same after that hit, and maybe he's dinged up a bit off that. Anthony Bain says trade for DeMarcus Lawrence. That'd be a tough trade to pull off, Anthony. He's got a huge base salary. You'd have to find a way to offset his trade with some of your guys somewhere or another with that. I don't know, folks. Would you guys maybe a trade of even? I don't know. I don't know on that, what they would do with that. But that'd be a tough one. He's being paid so much. It's got to be a guy making really at this point for half a season's left of salary, probably on a $10 million deal where you're paying $5 million of it for the remaining part of the year, if not a little bit more. He's going to probably be in the $14 million range or so. Bash Jim thought we at least had decent corners, but oh my goodness, they are horrible. Yeah, it was. And I was texting with D-Mac during the game about the Dunbar touchdown, and he goes, well, nothing Dunbar could do on that. It was a perfect throw, perfect catch, nice route. And then you can see after they come back from the commercial, they show you the route where Dunbar's not even set and ready. There's nothing that pisses me more off with defensive players than not getting set prior to the snap. And most notably guys that are cornerbacks that are out there. It's one thing with defensive linemen figuring out stuff, but the corner, you know who you're covering, you know you're on. Get down in your position and go. But he didn't, which allowed Hopkins to get some early separation on him deep, and it just set the tone for that whole route. The cornerback situation's been bad this year. Only Ugo Amadi, to my eyes, has played even decently. But man, it's not been good. It's not been good. Dunbar had a couple moments in this game, but once you lost Shaq and Trey Flowers continues to be what he's been this year so far. Tanner Stone, we will win the Super Bowl, just believe. I do still believe, Tanner. Don't get me wrong. I do still believe. And I think that this game may be a blessing in disguise for all of us, because this may be a game in which John Schneider and Carroll go, okay. We got a week left here before the trade deadline ends. We need to get something done stat. We can't sit on this. This isn't enough. This won't get it done. We can't do it with just this. I hope to God they do at this point and this preempts it, but we're still a front runner here. We're still out there ahead. There's still a weak schedule. We're still relatively healthy. There's a lot of arrows that point in the direction of us still being very, very good this year, but we're going to have to take care of business in this division, and that's 0-1. Shervin says Snyder has to do something. Yeah, he does. Wow, Russ was not MVP tonight. No, he was not MVP tonight. He made a couple of throws in this game that were frankly kind of inexcusable throws. The throw to DK, the throw to Carson down there, those interceptions. I can forgive the last one because it's a blitz. Seattle's struggling with how to answer it. They're struggling with how to pass protect in it. The backs don't know who to go to. I can get that a little bit more. But the other two, he had fully opportunity to just throw those ball away if it wasn't there or figure out something else, and he didn't. He kind of panicked on both of those throws. Wobbs says we'll be on revenge tour now. Yeah, you better believe it. I hope so. Alexander says, yeah, we played not as good a team today. We played a good team today, but not as good. I don't know what you mean on that, Alexander. You might have to rewrite that. Busta says we need Jamal Adams back. He brought some positive energy, which fired the defense up. Well, we definitely need him. We need Snacks. We need somebody else. I mean, we need all of them. All that and a bag of chips and more. This is not just a light fixing. This is not just let's stick this guy in and we'll be fine. Oh, put the one tech in that you signed last week. He'll fix your pass rush. No, the one tech defensive tackle will not fix your pass rush. And no, Jamal Adams won't fix your pass rush. Signing a pass rusher will fix your pass rush. But I'm going to be happy to have him back. Matthias 234, the D-line looks so tired. Hopefully today Snacks can have some more depth. Yep, Snacks will add depth. Hopefully give them a little time to get some breathers. Ian Mills says the defense was just horrible to watch. I knew it was over when they got that interception. Yeah, you had to feel at that point that it was just after that miss when you got the gift from the gods, the football gods, as far as that field goal miss with that guy getting it. I mean, I was saying before the kick, he loves that hash mark. He kicks from that side. I've seen game after game where they set him over up on that side. He loves it. And for him to miss right after he made it on the previous thing before they called the timeout, you knew like, that's it. Randall says we support them when things are good and when it's tough. Go Hawks. Go Hawks indeed, Randall, we do. And thank you for the $25 donation, my guy. I hope you send me your address. I'm going to send you off some swag. I put in my description section, folks, some of my early merchandise. I got a little mug I created and a, face covering if you're a person that's open to face covering in my description. So if you guys want to go visit my store, you guys ask for some merch. I'm working on getting you some, but I got you some right there. It's down there in the link in my description. But thank you for that $25 donation, Randall. And I'm all good. I'm going to be a little negative tonight. It's a necessary negative. This is the talking to our front office needs. We've got to be realists. We've got to be, look at the situation in a sober manner. And to do that is not with rose-colored glasses, but to say, look, we're this close to being a Super Bowl not contending team, but a Super Bowl championship team. And the thing you need desperately, like a man struggling for oxygen just beneath the surface of the water, is air. You need pass rushers. Your pass rushers are your air. Thank you for that donation, man. Jose says, I'm going to stream you. Make my video and try to mod at the same time. Wish me luck. Hit the like button, everybody. Oh, yes, thank you, Jose, for mentioning that. Please do hit the like button on my channel if you happen to be here in the stream. It does help this channel grow, and if anybody's out there searching for me, then they find this video because you hit that like button. It's on you. And if you're not subscribed, come on, subscribe. I don't do clickbait, You'll love this channel. Come on in. And Jose's got a great channel as well, my mod here. If you're looking for some more Seahawks content, he's got some good stuff as well. Bash M, we are going to beat a team like the Buccaneers or Buccaneers or any complete team for that matter. We aren't going to beat a team like the Buccaneers or Buccaneers or Packers. That's tough to say both those two teams back to back. Or any complete team for that matter. That's my issue too, Bash, is I think that we were up this is a good team here that we played this week. I've told you guys I've long thought this season that the Cardinals will be back up there and pushing us this year. But yeah, the teams are going to get tougher from here on out. There's teams out there right now that are playing better that I think are going to be tougher on us. And I think the Packers are a tough matchup for us, especially Devontae Adams. We saw they able to work the Andre Hopkins early on in this game with a lot of ease. It's hotter than the devil's anus here right now. Oh my gosh. But I don't see how right now with the current standing of our team. I mean, maybe a lot of you have faith in Rasheem Green out there. Maybe that's what we're all hoping for. I do want to say this. I don't want to hear any more about LJ Collier's super development or big step forward he's taking or half step forward he's taking this season. No. Run stuffing defensive end will be this guy's MO long term. Don't expect anything from him as far as pass rush goes. I said it on the day he was drafted, and it will remain the case as we get into 2 years later. Daniel, it seems like Russ has to be perfect for us to beat an average teams. This was the first good team we played so far, and we choked. Yep, it's a fair point. It's a fair point. And Russ didn't play perfect today. I mean, 3 interceptions is 3 interceptions. I mean, that did help the Cardinals out. And one of parts of Russ's game has been, historically speaking, he's been very careful with the football. But, certainly when you look at this game, you go, okay, Tyler Lockett played great. And I thought DK played a pretty good game, and Moore played good. Offensive line played all right. But, defensively, then you flip to the other side. Who played good on the defensive side of that ball? Who do you point to and go, he played a good game? He made a play. Well, I don't know if there's a single guy you can point to. Don't know if there's a single guy you can point to. KJ played pretty good, I guess. I don't know. What happened? We need to trade for Dunlap and Desmond King, says Nathaniel Parks. We don't need picks if you are going to win. Be in win now mode. I agree. I don't care about any of my picks moving forward as we speak today, right now, this hour, this time. 7:32 my time, 10:32 Pacific Standard Time. I don't care about any of my draft capital going forward. This needs to get fixed by any means necessary. No dilly-dally. Carlos Dunlap, okay, fine. That doesn't blow me away, but just start attacking it. We've got a week left here before the trade deadline. Let's go. Idaho Invader says defense allowed a touchdown and field goal to end regulation. Hardly good. Yeah, I'm glad I'm not the only guy on that boat. Brendan Eichrick says, thank God you're streaming. I need this for therapeutic reasons. I'm here to be your therapist today. I'm here to throw all that heat, all that smoke right down upon your heads and let you guys revel in it a little bit. That's all we're doing. This is just a little bit of just airing it out, getting it out of the system, blow this out tonight. I'm going to let all this anger flow tonight so that tomorrow I can reset the clock, be back on board with what's going to be a Super Bowl season to come. I'm going to be, but tonight I get to be pissed. Right now, I get to be angry. In this moment, I'm not letting them off the hook. Dennis Green once said, I'd hit my microphone like he did in the moment, but I'd probably knock out my volume or something. I'm getting desktop audio and okay. Let's see here. Got to remember the defense will get healthier. Griffin, Adams, and Brooks coming back. It's very true, Reeler. It's very true. There is some health coming. There is some reinforcements coming. Is it enough on its own? That's the question at hand. Yes, our defense is just not schemed properly for our guys, says Alexander. I can't disagree with you. I agree with you 100%. I wish there was more stuff our coaching staff sometimes did on the defensive side of the ball to scheme things to make it easier for them. It's all in this hard read and react, rally to the ball. And when you've got the players that are dogs, when you got some Hall of Fame talent out on that side of the field, they can get that done. But when you don't, you got to give those players things within your scheme to make it easier on them. And that's not what we're seeing. Jeff Ryan says, well, dang, it was going to happen at some point. We're 5-1. And we need Jamal Adams back, but healthy, snacks, and add a pass rusher. We're good, but we need some work to put in now. I agree. We need more, and I'm glad you put the pass rusher on top of the snacks and the Adams. I'm glad we're in agreement on that, Jeff, because I do think that is also what we need here. It's not just one. It's not just the guy. It's the third. I'd love to get 2 pass rushers, frankly. I'd love. We've seen our defenses getting gashed. We need some bodies to keep things fresh, if just for that reason. Carl says, I'm not saying Pete leaves, but it is Norton or Pete. And Norton's got to go at this point. I'm sorry. Norton's got to go. I'm not a guy that likes to call for guys to be fired, but as we talk about what more data do you need to know, as we delve into that department, what more data do you need to know to learn that Ken Norton is not a good defensive coordinator? He's had money invested on that side of the ball. He's had our future draft capital invested on that side of the ball. What else do we need for him to have? Does he have to have the perfect defensive team with all the talent in the world for us to then be able to judge him as a defensive coordinator? Couldn't you make the argument you can judge a defensive coordinator by when you're at your weakest from your personnel standpoint? Idaho Invader, you're dead on about Norton. Make an adjustment. Yeah, just do something. Do something. I know your scheme's simple naturally. I know you don't guys want to blitz because you're trying to protect against the back end. There's got to come a point in time in that game where you go, okay, we're going to give some we're going to give some balls over the top here. We got to blitz and get after this guy. What you do with Russell is you run a mush rush. You run 5-6 guys at the line of scrimmage, and you just have them kind of closing in around the quarterback so he can't get out the back door. I didn't see us try any of that kind of stuff. Daniel says, is there a precedent for a playoff team firing a defensive coordinator midseason? I'm sure there has to be. There has to be. Probably not often, but there has to be. Jose, no, they didn't. Carson and Homer got hurt, and we ran out of running backs. We didn't fall in love with the deep ball. Here's why I say we fall in love with the deep ball, Jose. When you see Russell Wilson dropping back, and he's got time to throw the ball, okay? Let's take these moments and situations, and he's patting the ball, and he's not being forced by any pass rush, and he's holding the ball, 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 and he's not being forced to move, and he's holding the ball. There should be an outlet receiver at that point in time. Doesn't matter if it's a running back, a tight end, whatever it is. There should be a little back leaking out. There's a variety of ways you can do this. The best way I would advise them to do it, because what they're doing is max protect in that situation. So the tight end and running back are asking to block, is you ask them to block or throw their chip and then get out into their route. I don't see that happening a lot of times. They'll go to the max protect. They'll throw 2 to 3 receivers down routes. Those routes will go clear 15 to 20 yards down the field. Watch the all-22 shot over the top when they're showing you the sky cam. You'll see the angles, and you'll watch the receivers, and you'll see this 10-yard chunk on the front side of the field where you're going, where's the running back? Where's an outlet there for him to just toss to that any other quarterback would usually have? Master Chief says, fire Ken Norton. A lot of fire Ken Norton talk. If we were doing a poll tonight, I think we'd be up about 80, 90% easy. I agree with you, man. I agree with you. It's about time. D Nugget, 99 cents. Thank you for the 99-cent donation, D Nugget. I appreciate it, man. I appreciate it. I understand where your sadness is coming from, my guy. I do. And I'm buying on the comments, but I'm going to speed up here and catch up here. Alexander says, bro, it's not Pete Carroll. He has created a great team. It's just one loss, but our defense coordinator is choking. Well, he's got his hands in this defense, Alexander. It's not all on the defensive coordinator. Pete Carroll is not that kind of coach. He's a guy who's going to put his hands on both the offensive and defensive side of the ball, and he's going to have a say, and that's it's his baby. All the investment they made in that side of the ball, to think he's just going to give Ken Norton the keys to the castle and just walk away and I'll just be over here managing the game. No, I don't think so. It's a bit of on them both. But that's why I've also argued, Alexander, for a while, that what I'd like to see as the next defensive coordinator hire is not more of a nepotism hire, not more of a hire that's a retread, but a guy that's maybe a young mind that Carroll can bring in to challenge him on some of the old schematic stuff, to maybe move him off his spot a little bit, make him uncomfortable, but have them start to be a little bit more back to being innovative. Carl says, I'm out on Shaquille and Flowers and possibly Dunbar. We're going to have to rebuild our whole secondary, I think, this offseason outside of maybe our slot corner role. I really think it's going to look more and more like that with the way these guys are playing right now. You'll probably still hold on to Flowers might be the one guy who remains, funny enough, of all that. I'll give a second-round pick for a pass rusher. I don't care anymore, says Brendan, and neither do I, and I would as well. Gaming Pro, August, no. I'm sorry, Gaming, it was Pro. We almost came this close to another beautiful win. Almost this close. D Nugget says the defense is the death of us. It is. I was cursing and cussing and stomping, and I couldn't believe what the defense was doing. I couldn't believe how miserable they were. How they just couldn't even. It's like a little kid going up against a bully and he doesn't even throw a punch. He just sits there and lets the kid just smack him in the face over and over. Wheeler says we need to draft a really good nickel corner too. We let Coleman go last year, which allowed us to be more creative defensively. Boy, this is another one, Wheeler, where I'm just not sure. Ugo Amadi, to me, has been one of the few guys in that secondary that has actually played pretty decently. I didn't see him playing badly in this game as well. We're getting beat on the outside corners, to my eyes. It's the outside corners that are just getting receiver raped. They're just getting taken to school out there. Russ needs to be held accountable, but one of them was a miscue. Yeah, I'm not going to put this on Russ. He had to Superman it out again. He wasn't able to be Superman. Sometimes that's going to be the way it goes. He's not the problem in this game. Sniper 95 through the game. He went to hurdle. Yeah, he shouldn't have gone over the top. I think he just caught offside, so his momentum was already carrying him into the guys, and then he just kind of went over the top. He's just trying to put the effort out there. He's just trying to. It's a hard play. He should know better, but I don't think he's trying to throw the game there. Nathaniel says, Wilson's still God mode, and though one loss won't kill us, we need to win now. I agree. This isn't a death knell here, folks. It's not the end of the world. We're still here. We're still first place. We're still in the driver's seat. Just we need to fix this thing. There's something to fix. There's a part in our car that's rattling, and we're driving on the road, and we're humming. And we're doing 90, but there's this. Okay, we got to pull the part out, figure out what the hell it is that's rattling, and fix it. It's the pass rush. Take that part out, rebuild it, put it back in, we're good. D-Nugget says we should have gone for the first down at the end of regulation instead of running the ball on that third down. I agree. I hated the fact that they didn't let Russ on that third down. Put the ball in his hands to win games. Let's just do that as a general rule of thumb, okay? We got the opportunity to do that if you're Coach Carroll. Let's go ahead and do that. That seems to usually pay off. Azo says, I'm pissed, but that call on Bobby Wagner really pissed me off. That would be one of the calls I would point to as Ozo saying that my issues with the officials tonight. That would be one of them. On a key third down, the game could have been almost kind of snugly, hemmed up at that point because they would have had to punt on a fourth down. That call on Bobby was just idiotic to me. Idiotic. They were over litigious a little bit in that situation. Daniel W. says, as far as I'm concerned, Pete didn't fire Ken Norton in the offseason. Pete has to go at this point in his NFL career, and he's just getting out-coached and carried by Russell Wilson. Tell me I'm lying. You're not lying, Daniel, and Russell has covered up a lot of stuff for Pete. I think he has stuff that he offers to the game as far as a head coach, but I would be increasingly more happy with seeing him less in on the intricacies of offense and defense, less on having a say on that stuff, and more on the management of the game, on motivation, on recruiting, those type of things. I would like to see that be where he leans into. D-Nugget says, Hawks Nest is my favorite part of Sunday. Oh, man, I appreciate you, D-Nugget. Thanks for that donation, too. Wheeler, the defense lost the game. I blame the defense and turnovers. I do as well. The referees certainly screwed us over the Bobby. Yeah, Bobby and DK plays. The DK play was one that was legitimate, I think. We've got to be fair there. When you got the guy out there on the outside who could be literally going for the tackle, is in on the play, and you see David Moore get his hands up into the thing. He's trying to lay a good block. God bless David Moore there, but his hand's up on the pad. He's got a grip on it, and it's obvious. You can see it with his hand on it. That's going to draw that flag usually at that point in time. Randall says we do fall in love with the deep shot, but it is the D. The defense is terrible. Zero pass rush. Almost seems like a refusal to adjust or address the situation. And that's it. I mean, look, the offense does fall in love with the deep ball. It's not the problem. The offense is fine. The offense is doing well enough. You know, the offense is holding up its end of the bargain. The defense is vastly not holding up its end of the bargain. Y2K says Benson Mayowa was a good signing, but that's it. Mayowa was definitely a penalty. Yeah, and Benson Mayowa, if he's a rotational rusher right now, getting 20 to 25 snaps a game, you all are going to love Benson way more than you're going to love him right now when he's being asked to play 80, 85, 90% of the snaps. When he's fresher, when he's able to come in there in knowing passing situations, not play the run as much, guy's going to be fine. He'd be decent in that. But we're just asking the world out of him right now because we don't have a Leo on this team. We don't have a true Leo. Bashan says, yes, our offense could have done better at some point. We can just rely on them. Defense has to step up or we just wasted Russell's prime. That's part of my, again, you guys are doing a good job of touching point by point down by where my logic and reasoning comes from on this. My fire and anger comes from the fact that we are in the middle of Russell Wilson's prime. He's Superman. He's lifting the team up on his shoulders. He's got enough assets around him as well offensively. You've got a Super Bowl roster on that side of the ball. Defensive side of the ball? That's where that's holding the whole game up at this point. That's holding the whole ship up. And it's like it's a fix. It's something you can fix. You can bring pass rushers in and they don't have to know the scheme and know the intricacies, especially in this simple scheme. You can bring a guy in, put his hand in the dirt, go get the quarterback, and he can get that done. Jeff says, who has noticed that the refs are unbalanced on the personal fouls and helmet-to-helmet calls this team? Seems like they do not call them unless it's against us. But we lost today. I'll own it. Agreed, Jeff. That's where I come to on this. I don't blame this game on the refs. I just say that I do think the refs were tilted a little bit one direction to a degree, it seemed like at times in this game. And the helmet-to-helmet stuff is annoying because it is really, where's the line? Where's the line at? Where's the true line of what's to get a draw flag and what's okay and what's not? You know, you got five guys looking at one play like that in a moment right on the ball. You know, D-Nugget says, I can't believe Kingsbury iced his own kicker. Yeah, that was pretty funny. I think they were going to get I think they were not going to get the snap off in time, though, D-Nugget. I think the clock was winding down. Carl says, if we don't trade for a pass rusher, not only are we not serious this year, Adams will get hurt again rushing the passer 50 times a game. Could be, man. It could happen. It's a good point, man. Nathaniel says, trade Dunlap and give up a fourth this year and get Desmond King for a fifth next year. Okay, I'm fine with it. Well, I'm going to be over. I'm not going to be a no man when it comes to almost just about any trade you guys propose to me tonight. I'll be just the rubber stamp guy tonight. Yes, 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 yes. Bleed Blue and Green, I wore the wrong hat. Oh, is this on you, Bleed Blue and Green? Did you mess up the energy out there? I knew it was you. TJ says the problem is we get a lead and then we play light and then we need to keep pounding the ball and don't let up. I agree, man. I was really about to do, I called the missed kick. I thought he was going to make the kick. So you are a psychic, Randall. I was like, man, if this guy kicks this ball 50 times from this hash mark, this distance, he probably hits 48 of them. But Alyssa Jackson, how you doing? Arizona Cardinals, let's go. Congratulations to you, Alyssa. You guys played a solid game tonight. You came back, showed some resiliency. You got a great young quarterback there. He's going to come along nicely. So give them their props, folks. They won that game tonight. Randall says up 10 with 3 minutes. I just need to know what's going to happen. I could see that what was going to happen. I felt it too, Randall. It just felt like this was swinging the wrong direction. Even after the missed kick, it just was like something in the momentum. Football's a momentum game. Sometimes you can just feel the momentum just not quite there, and then it's there, and you're just, we can be we can't complete a pass. It's a weird thing, but football plays out like that. Brendan, if they don't call the holding on the DK play, nobody bats an eye. Maybe not. I'd agree with you. The Cardinal fans would probably be mad about it. But, it is one of those plays that you can make the argument. This is the thing in basketball that you always hear where they say the refs are supposed to swallow the whistle in the last minute and let the players just play. I would argue maybe something similar to a small degree here when it comes to football. Like if all possible, if it's on the line, if it's close, hold the whistle and don't make the call. Because it's the end of the game, let the players decide. Don't be the one to decide the game. Spud Homer says no call against Baker for helmet to helmet is questionable. That was a questionable call. Like it's right out there in space. It's not in the middle of a pile. It's right out there where you at least have 3 of the 5 officials that got their eyeballs on it. They should absolutely be making that kind of call. But again, somebody's talking about the consistency of that call and how it kind of comes and goes. Thank you for the $10 donation, Anthony Bain. I really do appreciate it. I really, really do. He says, go get J.J. Watt immediately. Trade a future first, Mayowa, LJ, and Barton. We should also go after D-Law from the Cowboys. He can be had at a discount. Dallas needs cap space for Dak. Not some bad points in there, and I love the aggressiveness by which you talk. I love your donation, and I love your aggressiveness, Anthony, and I can't disagree. Go do whatever you need to do. It's not just about getting a big name at this point. It's about getting, both of those 2 guys would be scheme fits. Both of those guys would improve the pass rush. They'd have to give you more than what you're getting than what you got tonight. No quarterback hits, no sacks. Quarterback threw 50 damn times. It's not like one of those games where you get a quarterback throws 20 times and you go, well, how are we going to get a sack or a hit? The guy threw 20 times. He threw 50 times. You couldn't hit him once? Once? And if they could find a way to fit it, you're right, to get to JJ, to get to D-Law, you would have to offset some salary on your own stuff. So they would have to get a little creative with that. Maybe they would have to move a Mayowa to do it because he's got a little bit of salary you can move in conjunction here a bit. But do something. Do something, man. Be aggressive and go for it, in my opinion. Good game, Melissa. I agree. Your team played really well. We're going to face off again. I look forward to that game. It's going to be a revenge game for us, but you guys played well. Andrew Vetters, at this point, Adams is coming back. All we need to do is trade for Dunlap, Atkins, Kerrigan, or a combination thereof, and we're set. Oh, and fire Ken Norton. Seriously, we're that close to the Super Bowl. Andrew, your comments are dripping with sarcasm, and I love it. It's the type of humor I can get behind. Look, I'm saying multiple moves. Maybe it's not possible to do multiple moves. I've said that I'm willing to give up draft capital. I'm willing to kick down the cap space you got next year. If you got to convert somebody's salary this year into bonus, like let's say, you got to take Quandre Diggs' base salary this year, convert it into bonus money, something like that, do it. If you've got to kick that can down the road right now, do it. Go for it right now. You're in the pole position here. We're almost halfway through the season. The schedule gets easier. It's all sitting there for you to still go take. But it requires that, in my opinion. Seahawks HNL says, fire Ken Norton. Man, Ken Norton, he may be keeping an eye out of his house tonight. Look outside his window. Keep maybe subbing up on the guard duty, get some of those private security officers. Because with what you guys are doing with the chat, and I'm not disagreeing with you. I am not at all disagreeing with you. If there's a game to get him fired, what do you need to see on the guy? Wheeler says we'll get healthier on offense too. Dorsett and Penny coming back. That should help. It should help. I'm not worried about offense right now. Defense is really where it begins and ends for me. Carl says, watch how many blitz packages come at us now. People are going to challenge us in the blitz game. It's still a thing that it comes and goes in our ability to attack it. And because we fall in love with that deep pass game, what happens is you get the blitzing coming and Russell's holding on the ball, hoping the deep routes develop. And then he's getting sacked sometimes because he's not always realizing where the pressure is going to come on. Or as we saw with the play with DJ Dallas, where he missed the block on the inside, picking up the blitzer coming up the middle. That can happen as well. So this is why you've got to build in the short passing game within some of these blitzes in order to offset that and get the ball out of Russell's hand before it can get to him, rather than everything being deep down the field. Taylor Styles, what is up? What a game, though. Seahawks are going to be the number 1 seed, though. I'm not worried. even the best teams have bad games. I agree. And if it's your bad game that you took a team on the road in their house to the last 20 seconds of the game or whatever it was, that's not the worst of poor below board type games. So I love your optimism, Taylor, and I do still have maybe negative a little bit on this live stream today, folks, but make no mistake about it. I still have high hopes for this team, and I still think we can get it done. But God, they need to do some work. Zeke Zamora, we need a new defensive coordinator. I think everyone is in agreement with you, Zeke, including me. 3 noted, says John C. Ken Norton needs to be demoted. Shoddy needs to learn play action, bootlegs, and screens. And 3, Russ mad about AB. That's why he was poop. Maybe very well, John. Maybe very well in that last point. And I like some of your options in there. We saw no screen game today at all, did we? We haven't seen any screen game. It worked really early on, I think, in the Atlanta Falcon game. They used it a couple times to Carson, but not anymore. And that's the way you beat blitzes a lot of times, other than the hot routes, is you run a screen game. You get those defensive linemen to slow up a little bit instead of coming back and downhill all the time. We didn't see even an attempt at it, and that does point to Schottenheimer and running kind of simplistic stuff where he's not being more varied. He's not giving the defense everything to think about that he needs to think about. Nathaniel says the D has talent, but no example of coaching at all. They do have talent. I do agree. There's talent on this defensive. It's not the most talented defense in the NFL, but when you have 2 linebackers that are going to play at a Pro Bowl level this year, when you got a guy in Jaron Reed who's playing solid, when you get Jamal Adams back, you got a lot more firepower than a lot of other defensive coordinators have out there. I mean, look at Cardinals today. They lost their defensive lineman early on, one of their main defensive linemen. They're already without Chandler Jones. Peterson's out there still running around doing what he can, but he's not the same player. Budda Baker's your real only true playmaker with maybe Hassan Reddick. That's it. But they're getting it done at times when they needed to. Michael Myers, Russ is getting beat up. He can't do it all, but the front office is to blame. Where is our pass rush? Damn, person. And we've been on this ride before, right? Where we lose our running backs and we have nobody by the end of the year. I don't want to be there again. At least with beast mode, he's going to show up week in and week out, for God's sake. And D-line does not have talent. No, they don't. We're lacking. That's the biggest place of talent lacking we have on this team right now. Absolutely. Brandon says, I like the Jordan Brooks pick, but damn, we need pass rush so bad. That's why I didn't like the Jordan Brooks pick. You need a pass rush bad. There were guys you could bring in who would give you some pass rush. They weren't necessarily going to be stars on the scene right from the moment they walked in the building. You weren't going to get that at the end of the first round. But you could get somebody in here who was functional. You could get somebody in here who was going to give you a little bit of juice. Instead, you went for a linebacker who, I'm sorry for the injury situation, but he's not getting on the field. He's not providing you anything right now. Infinity Speedy says, good game, Seahawks fans. Infinity, good game to you. Cardinal fans as well. You guys played a strong game. You guys were in it. This was a division game, tough game, what you'd expect. Can't wait to play you again. Michael Myers, also Dixon putting with 4 seconds on the clock. Dixon punted pretty well today, too, I thought. Brendan says, who's a player you get in the draft at 62 that is better than Quentin Williams? You don't, Brendan. Whether you can get him for that, I mean, that's tough. That's a tough pill for the Jets to swallow, giving up that much on a player. Understandably, they're going to be in a rebuild here, but it's also a second-round pick at the end of the – theoretically, it's going to be a second-round pick at the end of the second round. So it's almost a quasi-third-round pick. If you can get it for a second-round pick, go make that trade. Go make that trade. FU says, I'm disappointed, and I'm disappointed too, man. Seahawks HNL says, Niners will torch this defense. Hard to see just about anybody not torching this defense. Game Pack says, can't wait for Adams. Oh, we need him back fast, Game Pack. Back fast. Jeff Ryan says, one big positive, DK with the track down. Dude was, at 21 miles an hour in the next-gen stats? DK smoked him and almost got the rip. He actually got up to 22 miles an hour on that one, Jeff. But, yeah, we got to give DK some props here, don't we? I know I'm being super negative, but, man, he ran all the way up the football field there, show heart, tremendous heart to come up there, and then the defense paid it off on the other side. That was the one time of the game I can give the defense a little bit of props. You're put on a short field inside the 10 after that, and you held up. You got the fourth down stop back to the offense. That was a big game-changing momentum play at that point in time. It wasn't enough at the end of the day, but despite only getting one catch, I felt like DK overall played a pretty good game in this. It played overall good in this game. He had, I think, a couple blocks. That, the play where he runs it in at the end there on the bubble screen, it was just a matter of almost there. Just that one block was off, but I thought he was all right for a guy just wanted one catch. Dunbar is trash, says Anthony Bain. Yet some of you Seahawks fans were hyping this guy based on his PFF when we traded for him. Dude isn't even a top 15 corner. Yeah, I agree, Anthony. And I think one of the problems with going out and getting a guy like Dunbar, and I pointed this at the time, was that he's a guy who plays on Washington, who was mainly a man-on-man type team. He's a man-on-man corner, really. That's where he's at his best. Well, we ask our cornerbacks more often than not to play zone. So you're taking him out of his strength to what is not necessarily his strength. And I would maybe point to that being a little bit of the issue there. John Choi, passing is not the issue. No, it is not the issue. Randall says, I agree with you, John. Welcome on the chat, John and Game. Please hit that like button if you're on in here, and subscribe if you're not already subscribed. Make sure you hit that notification bell, too. The Streamlabs thing doesn't, when I push it through this, it doesn't always push out the notification bells properly. Randall says, DJ Tallis got to realize he's not in the ACC anymore. He got smacked up in pass coverage late in the game. Yeah, he had one on the one where the blitzer came up the middle and he missed it. I mean, the injuries hurt. Losing Carson and then losing Homer, who's been really good for you on those as the third down running back. Both of those two situations really hurt in this game. And I think the Shaquille one hurt too. You got the injuries you had. It was just these little spots. They weren't big injuries throughout the game. But you went, oh, he's out. Oh, that sucks. Oh, that guy's out. Oh, no. But it kind of caught up to you by the end of the game. Taylor Sal says they're not firing a defensive coordinator, especially not at a midseason 5-1 season. I agree with you, Taylor. You're not going to probably fire him. The only exception I would make to that, Taylor, is that you have a guy like Gus Bradley out there, sitting out there. If you're going to maybe bring in a guy who's got some familiarity with the scheme and the situation and the players, maybe this would be the one time that you could look at that as the exception to the rule. But it's not a high probability. If I was in Vegas, I wouldn't be putting money down on it. TJ says, how in the hell did we go from one of the best defenses in history to the worst in history in 5 seasons? Yikes. It's a stiff drop, TJ, and maybe one day worth a video. Has a lot to do with the fact you drafted as well in a 2- and 3-year period as anybody in NFL history, and then you have drafted really bad for about the last 4 or 5 years since then. Maybe not on the same level. It hasn't been god-awful drafts, but the drafts have just not been good. It's been a lot of bad, and you haven't stocked up this talent base enough, especially on the defensive side of the ball. FUC's D-line is worse than ever. I feel like in the last play, in the fourth and the third and second, they should have pass rush, not run it. I agree with you, FU. Put the ball in Russell's hands. Let him go. John C. says, and 4 Travis Homers never needs to get a carry again. I agree. Travis Homer, whenever he gets the ball in his hands on a running play, I go for what? For who? For what? If we're at the point in time where we've got to give Travis Homer key carries in a football game, go get Marshawn Lynch, please. Or go make a trade for a running back out there. I'm okay with him as a third down back, but I don't want him getting carries. I don't know why he is. I don't know what their love for him is. They get those players they fall in love with. John Choi says, short passing, they need to do more of. They need to target Olsen and Disley more. I agree. I was saying that early on in this stream, John, was that they need to go back into understanding those short passes are there and available for you all day long as you commit to them. They just fall in love, to me, and it's my opinion on this, they fall in love with the deep passing game a little bit too much. D-Mac talks Seahawks. What is up, D-Mac? Welcome on in the chat, my guy. Brutal game. Another tough one, man. Another tough one. Seahawk, HNL says trade for J.J. Watt. Trade for J.J. Watt. The Texans are selling. I would do that, Seahawk. I would do that in a heartbeat. I think it only cost you about a 4th-round pick to bring him in, and I would do it right now. I'd be on the phone to them, and I'd be, what is this going to take? Let's get this done. Come on, Houston. Let him play for a Super Bowl. Wheeler, the reason the defense didn't look as bad last year is because we ran the ball like crazy and killed a lot of time, which helped the defense rest. Our drives are much quicker now. Could be some of it. The defense, though, is bad right out the gate, Wheeler. It's not like they're bad and wearing down. They wore down over the course of this game because they gave up drive after drive after drive. You know, I mean, I think the Cardinals scored in the first drive of the game. You know, I mean, that's not them, getting worn down and doing good early on. It's just them sucking right from the start. John says it's easy to say throw more at DM, but every team game plan is to stop DK. And that's, again, I wouldn't point to you had to throw more at DK in this game. I'd point to just you had to commit more, as I think it was you said, John, more to just the short passing game, more to maybe the tight ends, more to a little bit on the running backs. Nathaniel says the 3 turnovers are an exception, but I'm still backing Russ. I am too. I don't think anybody's bailing on Russ. Rudy De La Rosa. It was a design play to make them thinking they were not ready so that he wasn't ready. It was. That's very true. They did design, but you as a player got to get ready. If you're across the man, if you're the cornerback across the receiver, you need to be in your stance and ready to go, not looking around for them to suddenly get in their stance. Especially when you're the deep when your responsibility is to the deep half of the field at that point. Dustin, how's it going, Dustin? Nathaniel, we needed a reset, just an exception. We'll play them again in a few weeks. I agree. No, not the end of the world by any stretch of the imagination. Just concerning. Carlos Oliver Aguilar, our defense was a joke. It was a complete joke today. That was a joke. The way they played out there today, I'm sorry, that's not going to get it done in this league at all. Carter Kinslow says, won't be able to win a Super Bowl if we don't get a pass rush going. Brady and Rodgers will tear us apart. Harden, again, everybody's coming in with some solid points tonight. I'm just in complete agreement with you guys. I can't add anything into addition in what you're saying on these comments because they're spot on. We're seeing this with such an obviousness, and not just a majority of us, almost a consensus of us are seeing this as an obvious flaw and opening on this team that needs to be addressed week after week after week after week after week after week, year after year. Why are they missing this? Why is this such a blind spot for them? Is it because Schneider is so worried about his cap space next year and maintaining the fifth amount of most of cap space as we move into next offseason? Is he so scared by the loss of the 2 first-round picks and the second-round pick? Well, suck it up. Suck it up, sucker. Your Jamal Adams trade didn't fix everything. Not all is solved. More is required. Act Jax, what's up? Scheme has to be better. They didn't do anything scheme-wise today, and you're right, Act Jax. They do need to do more scheme. They did nothing today schematically to help those guys out. They didn't do anything at all on the defensive side of the ball. There's a lot of cover two. Corners come up and press to create the hole shots, and then just Kyler eats everything up short and over the middle as the linebackers drop into their deep zones. It's simplistic and over and over and over and over again. Wash, rinse, repeat. James Harden's beard says Russ has to play better fourth quarter. He did need to play better. He's got control too pre-snap on those blitzes. He's got to guide and direct things around to know what's happening. And there's too often at times there at that end that, as far as for me, disconcerting when he doesn't know what's happening as far as those blitzes. He doesn't know he needs to get out of his hand. And then we saw in the Lockett play where Lockett's running his route, not even looking for the ball, and Simmons intercepts it. The receivers as well. In that situation, Lockett had a fantastic game. I can't knock him in this game, but in that moment, they've got to adjust their route as well. I don't know if that's what happened exactly in that moment, but that's what it looked like. Flag Sabbath, changed the name. Formerly, Eltheria's gone. Eltheria's gone good. D-Mac couldn't pronounce Eltheria Flag, so that's a very good thing. Missed the game, super bummed. It was a tough game. Mighty Joni Boy, welcome on in, Flag. Mighty Joni Boy says, say, for example, we traded a 6th-rounder for Ryan Kerrigan. What else needs to be done for this defense to solve its problem? Well, I think right now, as far as I'm concerned, Mighty Joni Boy, you don't have any consistent pass rush coming from your ends right now. Benson Mayo needs to be slipped into a 20 to 25 snap rotational basis. And you're not getting anything from the other side either. LJ Collier's not getting you any pass rush either. So getting one guy doesn't fix that. I'd rather, you're going to need 2 guys in my opinion. Snacks Harrison's fine, but he's a guy that's give you some rotational help underneath so those guys don't get tired out like we saw today. You need 2 more guys on the outside as far as pass rushers in my opinion right now. Clay Matthews and Ryan Kerrigan, now we can start talking. John C. says, my trade idea is trade Dorsett and Reed in a 4th or later for Dunlap and Ross. I don't know on that one. I don't know on that one, man. You're going to trade Jaron Reed? Your one good defensive tackle, you're going to trade him? I don't know. Bobby Wagner is like an old quarterback. He's like an 83 Madden rating now, it says Y2K. Maybe at the start of the season he was an 88. Hell, a 73 Madden rating by the end of the season. He's been terrible, and we've made excuses. Bobby certainly is not playing at the same level he did before. I think, though, that Pro Football Focus grades on him are still probably pretty, reasonable. And they've got him as a top 10 linebacker in the league right now still in the ratings. I think he's just not shining out. I think he's just playing solid, but he's not playing spectacular. So it's a solid point. I like your metaphor, though. I do like it. N-Dub says every good team has a bad game besides the Steelers, and I'd put like 4 teams ahead of them. Agreed, N-Dub. Bad games will come along. They will come along. Not every game you're going to play amazingly. And the thing with this, though, the one thing I would say to the folks saying this was just a bad game, clear it out of your system, it's going to happen to everyone. This didn't feel like that type of game to me. You know, like last week you saw a game between the 49ers and the Rams where they played, and it just looked like the Rams weren't ready for the game. Just kind of your point in, Dub. They weren't ready. They weren't ready to go. They were just done. Okay? And it looked that way. Their body language didn't look right. They didn't look into the game. And the Niners just kind of had a lot of energy and were just going. This game, I thought our team had energy. I thought our team was ready to come in there and play. I just think that they just got outmatched from a coaching standpoint. And the other team made more plays at the end of the game. But the outmatched and the not enough talent on the defensive side of the ball, that's the stuff that can be replicated. And that's maybe the concerning aspect, because it's easy to go one-off if it's just a bad game. One-off, that can go away. But when it's a game where it's like, we've been seeing this from the defense all season long. We've been seeing this as a trend going back to last year. Flag for Sabbath says, Whitney Merciless, bring him in. Bring them all in. Bring them all. Bring them. All of them. All of them. James Harden's Beard says, I'm pissed. I'm pissed too, man. I'm pissed too. I'm glad I'm not the only one tonight. I figured everybody would be just telling me to calm down and just relax, and we're 5-1, and why you freaking out, man? Why you freaking out, man? D-Nugget, please hire Brandon in the front office. I would come in there. I'd just be like, you're fired. You're fired. You out. Burn it all down. Brendan Eichrick, I want to just see an effort to fix the pass rush. I do too. It's very simple for me here at the trade deadline. I don't need anything else. Somebody mentioned corner Desmond King. Okay, that'd be fine. But I'm really at this point, get the defensive line. Defensive line can fix some of the issues with the cornerbacks. It does not necessarily work the opposite way as we've seen. Randall McDaniel says, did you see Dunlop's post on Twitter? He's basically listed his house for sale. As reticent as I was to believe, Randall, last week that the Bengals would be willing to move Carlos Dunlap because they have historically been a team at the trade deadline who just will not trade their players. Doesn't matter how bad they are or where a player is at in his career. They just sit there and they go, we're just going to sit here. We're going to hang out. We're going to hold. No. We want a 2nd-round pick. He's got 6th-round value. We want a 2nd-round pick. He's got 6th-round value. We'll want a 2nd-round pick or we're not trading him. Okay, well, then the hell with you. This year might be the one year, though, with Dunlap. He seems like he's trying to kind of push his way through. I don't know how much he's got left, though, Randall. If he can't get on the field for the Bengals at this point, what can we expect from him? James Harden's Beard says, there's no reason we shouldn't have blown these guys out of the water. I agree. Just a little bit better defensive effort, and you get on top of this team, you push them down, and you're done. They're done. Thank you for liking, D-Nugget. Please do like if you are in here and just arriving. And if you're not subscribed, please do subscribe. It helps this channel grow as we are on the road to 5,000 subscribers. D-Mac TheSeahawks says, not Dunbar's fault. The whole defense was caught off guard. He still was in a good relationship to Hopkins on that route. Kyler dropped the ball in a perfect spot on a fade route. It's a top 3 wide receiver. It's a fair point, D-Mac. The thing I want you to just respond to me on, because you didn't respond to me on the text when I texted you to at the time, why, as a cornerback, are you not just in position? Why do you have to be standing up, lollygagging around? Why can't you just be ready and set at that point, especially when you're playing near press coverage in that moment rather than you're playing off 10 yards, i.e., you need to be ready to get up on your horse and get back there against Hopkins in that moment? That's my one. Why the lollygag? What's to be lost by taking a second or two early to get yourself in the possession, just as a general rule of thumb, to protect you against that very situation from happening? Mark P., how's it going? Arizona, my guys. Ayo. What's up, Mark? Y2K, I do feel Wilson played terrible. Overall, we passed good. Wilson, yeah, I don't think Wilson played terrible in this game. He had some bad throws, but he played all right. Y2KH, Packers have too many injuries. I don't know. Packers are still pretty good. Pretty good. Natter22 says, keep Norton, make him a linebackers coach, and sign Dan Quinn as a defensive coordinator. Very hard for a coach to take a demotion like that, especially mid-season. I tend to believe, Natter, that'd be the probably your great scenario, right? That'd be your ideal scenario, is if you take that. But I would have a feeling with pride and the way it would go and how it all boiled down, I don't think you'd be able to talk Norton into that. I think he's going fully out if he's out at that point. Anthony Bain says, fire John Schneider and Pete. They are garbage talent evaluators. I think that they've got places where they're strong, Anthony, and they got places where they're weak. I don't think I'd go as far as to say they're garbage, but I think that they just need to know where their strengths are and where their weaknesses are, and go out and bring guys in who are at positions that they're going to have a struggle at trying to evaluate coming at the draft, or that they've historically struggled to evaluate coming out of the draft. So cornerbacks, I think they can find cornerbacks in the draft. Running backs, I think they can find running backs in the draft. Defensive ends, I'm not so sure. I think they can find linebackers in the draft. Even receivers. Tight ends, I don't know. Linemen, offensive linemen, I'm not so sure. Defensive linemen, kind of. Jaron Reed is stealing $10 million for what exactly? Asked Anthony Bain. I don't know that Jaron's the problem right now. I think if you get Jaron down to like 70% of the snaps and get him a little more on the rotational basis, he'll look a little bit better. He's not like great, but he's the only guy at times to me that's even generating some pressure. At least that's how it appears. James Hartensbeard, thank you for the $2 donation. My guy, I salute you. Everybody's so nice with that. Thank you for that $2 donation. He says, how this game started, it shouldn't have been this close. And I agree with you, James. You got up on them at one point. You should just have pushed them down. We've had our team in a couple positions this time in a few of these games. This is why I say that this isn't just a one-off, folks. We've seen this same thing kind of playing itself out where we're on the edge of that knife to falling over the other side, but we've managed to pull it over to the other side where the defenses just can't hold it up. The offense gets up on them on a team. They got the 5-10 point lead up over 2 touchdowns, and yet they're still able to come back because the defense just can't close them down. It's disconcerting because then it becomes kind of a trend. Nathaniel says the D-Hop trade was highway robbery to the Cardinals. It was. It was a fantastic trade by them to pull him in for what they did and how they got him, and he looks like a great fit with Kyler Murray. And they know how to scheme him to get him catches, to get him touches when they need to. It was a great fit for them. It sucks. Sucks. Brendan Eichrick says Jaron Reed was a mistake. I'm okay with the Jaron Reed deal, you guys. I really am. I think this year's contract hit is only about $9 million or so this year. You can cut him after this year and get out with, I think, only about $4 million in dead money. I'm okay with that contract. The problem for me comes back again to the defensive ends. If you've got guys who can pass rush, along the defensive ends, then, now his pressure up the middle is going to be a little bit more impactful. But when those guys aren't getting anything up on the sides and he comes up the middle and he generates pressure, and then the quarterback can get out the back door on either side, left or right, well, Jaron doesn't look as good there, but he needs some more of that help with those guys coming in and pushing from the edges. They're just giving him nothing from there. There's nothing coming in. Jason Hard says Wagner has to make more tackles. I would like to see him play a little bit better. Y2K, the offensive failures are completely on Russ. I don't know if it's completely on Russ. I point to some of it being some of the game calling, and going away from the run as much as they did, going away from the short passing game as much as they did. Somebody else mentioned, not implementing like the screen game till the very end to DK Metcalf. New York Phenom, what is up? Welcome on the chat. Thank you so much for the $2 donation. I salute you, sir. He says, we need Ryan Kerrigan, right now. 3 exclamation points. I don't disagree with you. Man. I'm okay with bringing him in. They've got Chase Young back there playing well for them now. He's off of his injury. Bring him on aboard. Bring me some Ryan Kerrigan. Bring me some Carlos Dunlap. Get a couple of those guys that can't count, a 4th, 5th round pick for both of them in the combination. How is that not a no-brainer move to make at this point? Something in that, I'll take it. John Choi says, does this guy respond to YouTube at all? I do. Anshan Patel, Lolo, as a Cardinals fan, I kind of feel bad for you. Don't feel bad for us, Anshan. We're about to win the division. You're about to come in like 2nd or 3rd place. So, if you feel bad for anybody, feel bad for yourselves. It's a good win, but it's going to be a short-lived little rise for you folks. So you guys enjoyed now. Have your little feast. Tuck in your little napkin now. You earned the win. Won't take that away from you. Sind Edifx, 519 yards given up by that D, and it was tough. That was tough, my guy. I agree. This is the problem. This is a big problem. As somebody else said, this could be the thing keeping you from a Super Bowl championship, and that would really sting if we come down and after this season ends, after all we've gone through, after all we've known, after all we've talked about, and we arrive knowing that our season ends, our winning season ends because we decided that we were going to be good with our pass rush. Our young guys would develop. Your boy, Zach, good game, man. Good game to you guys. I'll give you guys some props, by the way, just to Cardinal fans. I welcome you guys in on your thoughts. I love talking Cardinals fans. You guys played a good game. Nothing against you guys at all. You're nothing like those dirty 49er fans. Natter22 says, keep Norton, make him linebacker. Yeah, so I don't know, man. We'll see on that. I'm getting through the chat here, folks, so bear with me. Ryan Kerrigan isn't getting moved. Washington has a smart front office that knows pass rushers are a key to success. Potentially is true. Potentially is true. And look, they may still think they're in that division run, especially now that the Cowboys look out. They've got to look at it like, hey, we're in there as the number 2 team right now. We're dancing here. We're dancing. Your boy, Zach, if that wide receiver was not holding, you guys still would have won. It's true. I don't know, though. I think he had to hold to get that guy blocked. I think that guy would have gotten off the block and would have tackled him, Zach, if he didn't do the hold. I do, and then there would have been 4th down. Maybe we would have gone for it. Maybe we still would have won. Maybe. Dowboy says, man, I'm heartbroken. Russ panicked. He did. They had a little pressure. Those pressures were very exotic and inventive. A lot like we saw from the Vikings last week, a couple weeks ago. Teams are getting very, very, very inventive with their pass rushing against us. Isaac Ramirez says, hope you lose next game. I hope you're not talking to the Seahawks. Do you mean are you talking to the Cardinals guys in here? Your boy Zach says, you guys need a pass rusher. See, guys, even the Cardinals fans can see we need a pass rusher. Brendan Eichrick says, Brooks looked good with one bad moment. Brooks looked good with one bad moment. He looked okay, good in stopping the run. And he had a nice stop on the 4th down play, I think, or 3rd down play against Kyler Murray as he was coming on inside the goal line, inside the 5. He streaked across the field, used his speed. He got outran on one play by Kyler, which was disconcerting, but he played okay, I guess. He wasn't on the field a lot because they were in spread formations a lot, so he wasn't out as much. But he did fine when he was in, I think. James Harden's Beard says, we just need to stop taking shots downfield knowing they couldn't stop Lockett. I agree. Just you utilize it. You take your shots a couple times throughout the game, but you can't just fall in love with it. Sean Shibby says he had Lockett in fantasy. Sean, you must be feeling pretty good. Hopefully he wins you the week. At least somebody can get something from this week. Zach says, I completely agree. We need a pass rusher and a pass rusher and a pass rusher. The heck with our picks. The heck with our picks. The heck with future draft cap, space, salary cap, room. I don't care. I don't care. I watched you last year undersell our pass rush, and you could make a key argument that lost you, or not lost you, but held out your potential last year. You really could. And you're now watching it replicate itself again this season. The second, I'm kind of upset. What's up, the second? How you doing, Ed, bro? I'm upset too, man. Nathaniel Park says the Seahawks are on pace to give up over 8,000 yards this season. Yes. You could go around the globe 5 times with 8,000 yards. Maybe not that much. That's a lot of yards, folks. Booster says, I don't know why they didn't sign Clay Matthews. He's a great pass rusher and exactly what they need. A 1-year, $2 to $3 million deal would work. As I understand it, Booster, and I'm not certain on this, but I'm going to make the guess. Carroll's got something maybe against former USC players. He doesn't always seem to gravitate towards them. There's been some offset thing with Clay Matthews' deal with the Rams where he's being paid $2 million by them essentially to just sit on his couch this year. And if he comes back off of his couch this year, he wants to be paid more essentially than that money that they're paying him. So that could be what's holding it up. But dude, it's the quickest, easiest way to go here because he's not going to cost you a salary cap. He's not going to cost you a draft pick. Just go pick him up and sign him off that thing like you said. 1-year, $3 million deal. Done. Faded says, I know we need a pass rusher, but do you think they will trade for one? Yes, Faded. I think they've been waiting until the last minute on this one, but I don't think that they're going to wait any longer. And Anthony says Clay Matthews is trash. He may be trash, Anthony, but he cannot be anything worse than what we've been trotting out there, in my opinion. Wheeler says, got to remember Norton was a defensive coordinator in Oakland for a couple years before Gruden. Just look at the defense Gruden inherited. Yeah, the thing with him, again, is he's got a lot of history now as a defensive coordinator in this league where he's not been a good defensive coordinator at any of his stops. We've got enough for now, a couple years here in Seattle, his 3rd season here, year or 2 in Oakland. He's not been good. He's not shown an ability. You look for things, just like in a player. You get a young player who's new on the scene and you're looking for flashes. You're looking for him to do things that get you excited, that make you think that he can consistently then do it long-term down the road. Same thing's true with coaches. A guy becomes a defensive coordinator for the first time. He's calling defensive plays. What can he do? How can he coach things up? How is his scheme going to look? You're looking for those flashes of inventiveness, of him putting his players in positions to succeed, him getting the most out of his talent. Can any of us say that about Ken Norton right now? The second says, trade for Carlos Dunlap and sign Clay Matthews. It's the quickest, easiest approach, I would argue, too, man. I would be in favor of that. And I know I'm behind the chat, but I am moving quick. So we're going to get back in on this. Don't worry about the trolls. We'll get them out. Oh, my goodness. Remember when Trey Flowers was the answer to cutting Sherman? So dumb, says Matt Calloway. Yeah, that was dumb. That was... Relying on Trey Flowers, he actually looked a lot better last year than he's looked this year. I think his confidence is really shook. We got people, our mods getting the trolls. I figure we get some trolls in here. It's all good. And if I missed your comment here, I'm trying to go through these fast. We got a lot of people in the chat tonight, so I'm just I'm trying to roll through. So if I'm not completely on, bear with me. Yeah, if we got a ban, we got a ban. Shane says, did you think Buddha deserved a penalty or possibly an ejection for his early helmet-to-helmet hit? Lord knows the Seahawks would have been punished for that hit. I certainly think that the letter of the law says that they're supposed to call it a penalty. I hate in football that they've determined that needs to be a penalty. It's just a football play. To me, it's impossible for either the offensive player or the defensive player to really avoid those type of situations. All that being said, it is a flag. No, I don't like players being ejected in the game for those kind of bang-bang plays. Absolutely not. So no on the ejection. PR for PR Ricans. Russell Wilson looks like Curious George. He did look at the end of the game a little bit like he was out of sorts, not comfortable. He was not locked in as much. I don't know if he's just frazzled by the pass rush and the blitzes they were throwing at him, but he was just kind of a little thrown off. Flag Sabbath says 6-1 defense. Nathaniel Park says, would going from a 4-3-D to a 3-4 help anything? Well, it could, and I mean, at least the nice thing here is when you bring in a guy like Stacks Harrison, you could bring him in and put him in as a nose tackle. You wouldn't be able to do that with Puna. You wouldn't be able to do that with Jaron Reed. You would be able to theoretically do that with him. And both of those two guys I mentioned, both with Jaron Reed and with Puna, because of their particular size and skill set, they could be defensive ends on this team. As well, LJ Collier could be a 3-4 defensive end. So, yeah, you could with Snacks in there if you wanted to, especially if you wanted to get it kind of exotic with some of the blitz games, especially getting Jordan Brooks on the field now with potentially Michael Kendricks if they like what they get with that kind of combination. Yeah, I like where you're thinking, Nathaniel. Matt Calloway says, why is Mr. Unlimited always limited by the goal line? He's usually pretty good at goal line situations, Matt. Every once in a while he'll throw an interception down there, but he does tend to be more often than not pretty money down there. Probably need to commit a little bit more to running when we get down there at times. Was DK doubled most of the game? DK was almost non-existent today. It's such a weird thing to see. I'd have to see the tape, Shane, to see for sure. I'm not positive on that one. It looked like to me Peterson was following him across the field, and maybe Peterson got a little bit of the better of him in this game. Certainly did on that interception. But I'd have to see that. Free matter for the blind says LeBron tweeted to D-Hop and Kyler Murray. Damn. Ugh. That sucks. Y2K says we won't get Kerrigan. Mark my words. Washington wins that division. Probably makes it the most likely as to why we wouldn't get him. That's for sure. Space, what is up? How you doing, Space? Green frogs are cool. How you doing? He says, what the? I agree, Space. What the F is right? Shane Hafner, I don't believe Pat P had DK on an island. Russ should have thrown it to him. Shouldn't have thrown it deep to him. Yeah, he shouldn't have thrown that deep on the interception. That was a weird throw. I don't know what was happening on that one, what Russ saw. James Harden says they'll never take Thomas back. Probably not at this point. If you haven't heard any rumors of it happening up until this point, unless you lose Quandary Diggs for the season, probably don't see it happening. D-Boy says, I think Carson would have made that first down on that 3rd and 2. Probably, man. There's a possibility. But boy, D-Boy, I would have liked trusting Russell with the ball in that situation rather than trying to run it. Have my best player with the ball in his hands in that moment. Vader Accord, he did a majority of the game. I was specifically watching to see who was holding DK, and 9 out of 10 it was Pat Pete. Yeah, Pat Pete had a great game, a resurgent game for him. It was almost vintage-like, I dare say. Space says Lockett was incredible. He was incredible, man. And he's perfected that when he doesn't have a lot of separation. Early this year we saw a Jalen Ramsey, Michael Gallup play where Michael Gallup is going down for the Cowboys on a deep play at the end of the game to win the game. It's a deep ball. He gets a subtle push off. It's a penalty. Lockett's learned from Doug Baldwin how to get that push off without getting your arm out where you get caught for it. And it's a very subtle little tiny thing he does on those deep balls, but he's a master at it. Fantastic game by Lockett. We got to give him his props in this game. Probably his best game as a pro. That's saying something. He's had a lot of great games in his career, but man, he almost could have had 18 or 19 catches. He was really close at times on a few others too. Matt Callaway says, does anyone feel like watching this kind of football? I would prefer just a blowout. Nice, easy blowout. Put my hands behind my head. Sip my iced tea. Sergio Macias. Seahawks had a 10-point lead with under 3 minutes left in the fourth quarter and lost. It's true. They did. Tough to see. 10 p.m. I would hate on the Seahawks right now, but I'm a 49ers fan with 49ers dreams dead of us getting our players out of the IR. So, it's smart of you to notice at 10 p.m. because you guys played really well today. Granted, you did. But it's going to be hard for you guys to overcome that injury situation. You guys are fighting, man. You are. You got some guys out there definitely fighting, but boy, are you guys hit with some tough ones there. And this division is going to be rough to go through. And you got a tough schedule beyond it. Shane Abner says, Arizona's O-line isn't even that good, and we couldn't get any pressure. So sad. So true. So true. Absolutely 100% true. Vader Accord says, AZ's O-line has played exceptionally well this season. I don't know if I'd say exceptionally well. I think that we didn't challenge him very much. I don't know. I need to look at that. I'm saying that out of school. I need to look that up. Nathaniel says, Pete has always been a coach who trusts his players, but he needs to realize that some players just suck. They do. I think sometimes, I would say this, Nathaniel, early on in the first 5 years of the Carroll Schneider era, they were willing to move off of players much quicker. They weren't as married to these projects and situations that they had. They would spin guys through. Remember when they turned over the roster 300-400 times just in the name of competition over a couple-year stretch? But they're more locked in now. They're not as willing to go in that direction. John C., people remember Reed's 10-sack year, but he's not that. No, he's not that. And I don't expect Reed to be that. And at $9 million this year, he's not being paid to be a 10-sack-a-year defensive three-tech defensive tackle. That would cost $15 to $16 million a year. Okay? So I think you're agreeing with me here, John, but he's a solid defensive tackle in this league. He's upper level, just below Pro Bowl, and that's fine. He's not the problem. There's so many more problems on the defensive line than Jaron Reed right now. Monta Tracy says, we need Earl Thomas. I don't know. I don't care. Sorry. We need Earl Thomas. I don't care. Maybe, I don't know how you'd move Quandre around at that point. Is he going to be better than what Quandre is right now? Maybe. I don't know. Shane Hafner, now this is when Ken Norton Jr. is on the hot seat as defensive coordinator. You sure would hope so. If the seat ain't hot now, it ain't never getting hot. Sushi Rice says, Bobby is very consistent, and I think he's playing pretty good, but he needs larger plays. Yeah, he's not been horrible. He's just, I think, not at that level people remember him being even 2 years ago in 2018 when he was challenging for Defensive Player of the Year. Sergio G says, your 5 wins were against teams below 500. You should panic. Well, Sergio, I'm not going to panic because I know I still get to play the Giants and the Washington football team and the New York Jets. You know, I've got plenty of teams on my schedule this year that aren't great still. But yeah, I'm not going to panic. We're a good team still. And we took this team right up until the end, and we would still be undefeated if we could get one drive out. So no, I don't think anybody's panicking at any point right now. The second says we need Earl. Some Earl love in the chat. Ray Jr. Smiley doesn't come to this chat room. Shane Hafner says Carson's durability will most likely cost him the extension this offseason. I think it has to at this point. I said there was 2 things I need to see from Chris Carson this year. This is the reason why I was not willing to give him a contract extension at the beginning of the year, even at a discounted rate. I need to see 2 things fixed from you, Chris. You're a good player. You're a solid upper-level running back, but you got 2 problems to your game. Number 1, the fumbling issue. Number 2, 2 of your first 3 seasons have ended due to major injury. We need you at the end of the year. We need you more in play here. And you get beat up an awful lot. It's going to be hard for me to give a guy like that a contract extension in any way, shape, or form, especially knowing how easy it is to bring in running backs at a cheap rate. 10 p.m. People really underestimate the Cardinals like they don't have the second fastest quarterback in the league and a top 5 wide receiver with elite Chandler Jones. They're a lot more scary 10 p.m. with Chandler Jones. When they lose Chandler Jones, though, he's so much of their pass rush along with what they do in the blitz game. And if they lose that kind of guy, that's their one guy that can win one-on-one, they are a lot lessened as a team, and it lowers, to me, their potential ceiling. Free matter for the blind, 3 picks. Yeah, it was tough, 3 picks for Russell. Why is it so hard for a defensive back to turn his head around? Speaking about Dunlap play versus Hopkins. You mean the Dunbar play against Hopkins. See it every week, though. I don't know, Randall. I think it's one of those things they say that's the reason they play quarterback and not wide receiver when it comes to not getting their head around. And I think he was panicking. I think he knew that he got caught. He was catching up that whole route because he was caught off guard on the snap, and that led him in a position where he just wasn't comfortable where he was at the route at that point. Just not a good look on that one. Shane Hafner, bad tight end game. Olsen, the old man, needs to learn to toe tap drag in the end zone like Luke does every effing time, and Disney let a beautiful dime go right through his hands in the end zone. I don't know. Maybe you guys disagree on that. I thought that Disley catch would have been really tough. I mean, I know the telecast was giving him a hard time about it as well, but to me it looked like that was a tough catch to make. It looked like it was just slightly overthrown to me. Slightly overthrown to me. Okay, Dustin, let's not blow the chat up, please. Randall McDaniel, I feel the same way how you are going to make a play on the ball if you're not looking for the effing ball. Oh, yeah. Wait till June, says the ref missed so many calls for both teams. The officiating was bad tonight. I thought the officiating was just bad. Worst officiating game this season. Didn't cost us the game. Wasn't the reason for the loss. Just didn't like it. Shane says, Mayo, I had some explaining to do. He tried being Bam Bam Cam or even B-Wags and clearly couldn't jump the line to block the field goal. That was a brutal penalty. It was a brutal penalty. It sucked to see. He's trying. He's given his effort in that play. I mean, it sucks. She can't jump off sides in that moment. Well, what else can you say? What else can you say? Koski and Company. Thank you, Koski, for the $5 donation. He says, keep it up. I appreciate you, man. Thank you so much. And thank you to everybody here in the chat. If you're in here, please hit that like button, subscribe, notification bell. I'm using these Streamlabs now, so you don't always get the notification bell when I go live if you don't also hit that. But thank you so much for that donation. I do appreciate it. AB, Pokemob Squad. Defense sucks. They do suck. This defense is bad. One good thing is I still think they can stop the run when they're not gassed out of their mind. I think that especially Snacks Harrison coming back in, they can hang their hat on that. But they have no pass rush. Najee Eastwick says, feels like Russ has to score every drive. It does. There was one point in this game when I looked at the score, and it was late in the third quarter, when we hadn't punted one time in the game, and we were only up by 3 points. It was pretty late in the third quarter, I think. Just, you go, come on, defense. Come on. Sergio G says Seattle should change their name to the Wilsons because everyone else is trash. Nice one. AB says we need to get some pass rushers. Not one hit on Murray today. Not one. I know, not one hit. Not even a hit. Say nothing of no sacks. Not even a hit. You'd even challenge their offensive linemen to have to hold you. Ugh. Free matter for the blind says, I heard the Cardinals got Marcus Golden. Yep, and they're going to be familiar with how to use him, and he's going to probably be effective for them. Dustin says we don't get to see the kitty anymore. No, I put the cat tree in the other direction. I'm in a smaller place here. 10 p.m. coming from a 49ers fan, I say the Seahawks take a win over the 49ers for 28-21. Wow, you're a fair 49ers fan, 10 p.m. I give you props for being unbiased. I think they're going to be close games. And I think they're going to be dogfights. As long as our defense can't stop anybody, everything's going to be close in the shootout. So making a prediction on these kind of games anymore, I'm going to stop, I almost think, because it's like, it'll be a shootout. God knows what happens. Russ will have to do a miracle. Wait till June says we traded Frank Clark for a third pick just to draft another defensive end that was much worse. No. Wait till June. We traded a first round and a third round pick for Frank Clark. And in the trade backs that we were doing and the ability to accumulate the extra draft capital that we accumulated, we were able to trade back into the second round to then get DK Metcalf. So I've heard a few people on my chat come in at times and they say, oh, I want Frank Clark back. I want Frank Clark back. Well, okay, if you do want Frank Clark back, then you also then need to acknowledge that Russell Wilson or Bobby Wagner would have probably needed to have gone then. One of those two guys would have needed to have been shipped out. Bobby in the midst of his Defensive Player of the Year in 2008 season, by the way. You'd been making that call at that moment. And you're not getting DK Metcalf at that point. So do you guys think that's a better solution at that point? I don't. I know where you're coming from, man. I do wait till June, but I don't think I still pull the trigger on that trade. That's not been the problem for us. Jonathan Young, Packers don't matter if Seattle loses in round 1 of playoffs without a pass rush. Very true. We may not even get to the Packers if it's like that. James Wall says that Trey Flowers is just awful. He has moved into Awfulville. It's to the point now you just hold your breath on him even being able to hold up in the deep cover 3 look that we tend to fall into more often than not. He can't even do his base job within the secondary right now. Tough to watch. Shane Hafner says that's what happens when we don't win the turnover game. We need one more takeaway and we win. Russ throws 3 picks is unreal. We haven't seen that since the NFC Championship game. Yeah, we don't see it often. Nathaniel says Josh Allen trade idea. Seattle sends a 2nd and a 4th, and the Jags send us Josh Allen. I don't think the Jags are giving up Josh Allen in any way, shape, or form. I understand why people will think this is a little bit of like the Jets syndrome, where they've been trading first-round picks all over the place for years now, so you just come to expect that that's what we're going to see all the time. I think that there's a couple, they're going to finally at one point or another hold their ground on some of these young guys and have an idea or a plan in place to pay for them and put them on contract extensions. I expect that with Josh Allen. I don't think that he's on the trade market. Rush Leduc, what's up, Rush? Tyler had some bad drops. He did have a couple of drops within those catches. That's what I was saying. He could have had 18 catches in this game because there were a couple in there that they slipped right through his fingers, were right there. He still, again, that wasn't the problem in this game, that's for sure. 10 p.m. of Niners fans says the Seahawks are like my obese cousin. They don't run. They definitely fall in love with the pass this year, man. Maybe to their detriment. Splash and Skill says, I don't think I'm going to survive as an exclusive only Seahawk fan for the Russell Wilson. I don't know what you mean on that. Why do Hawks fans think they'll win the Super Bowl when the D is trash? Asked Sergio, asking for a friend. Because, Sergio, we're in an age of offensive-minded football. Offense is above and beyond the name of the game. The Kansas City Chiefs had some good players on their defensive side of the ball last year, but that wasn't a great defense. It came together at the end. There's been other defenses through the last couple of years, in my opinion, that haven't been perfect or phenomenal defenses. You got a great, phenomenal offense. You have a much better chance, in my opinion, of going and winning a Super Bowl versus having a great, phenomenal defense and a crap offense. You can tell your friend that. Tell your friend that. Nathaniel Parks, Alton Robinson thoughts. You think he will be okay? He flashed early on when he came in. After he finally got out, he's been very quiet since. And I've not seen a lot out of him since, as far as, he got some snaps in this game and couldn't generate any pass rush. I mean, what else can you say on that? He seems to be pretty good in the run stuffing game as well. That part's good, but he's not coming along like I thought. This continues to be a growing trend with these young players for our Seahawks. Not coming along like I thought. Not developing like I thought. Seriously, people need to stop blaming Russ. It's not like he's throwing right to the defenders. The picks are mostly on broken plays, and the last one they fake blitzed. I'm not going to blame Russell for this loss, but you throw 3 interceptions, and all 3 of them are kind of on you as a quarterback. It's going to be hard to win a football game when you throw 3 interceptions. It doesn't matter if you throw for 500 yards. That's just going to be the case. It's not a problem with Russell. This is a one-off, and again, he's not the reason we lost this game. Our defense is. So I don't put it on him, but it's still, he's got to own some of that. Those are on him. Koski says I could play tackle if I could pack a gun. James Harden's beard says, as long as the Niners stayed at the bottom, I'm good. Yeah, they played really good today, man. I'll tell you what. Red Dr. Kazuzol, I love your name. Ryan Kerrigan should be traded. Maybe Kazuzol. The one thing is Washington might think they have a chance in that division. They may think they have a chance to win it, right? The Cowboys are looking like they're done. Giants are done. Sets the stage for it's between them and the Eagles. What chat is he even reading? I'm behind on the chat, folks. I'm sorry, but I try to answer everybody's question. This is going to put me behind on the chat. So if you hang in here and watch, I'll answer your question, and I will get to it. But I'm trying to spin through. And we got a lot of people in, man. I don't know how many people we got in here, but we got 170. We got twice as many viewers than I ever get in here right now. So you guys got, I'm trying to fly through this as much as I can. Houston M, what's up? He says we got to run more screens, sweeps, short routes to get DK going as a ball carrier when the deep ball isn't going. That screen should have been run much more with off coverage Arizona was showing him. I agree. You make the game simpler at times, and these type of things that you're talking about, screens, sweeps, short routes, these are things that can beat blitzes, especially teams that are going to blitz you play after play after play. That's how you can beat it. And if they go away from it too much, if they don't go to it, it's just, you're making it easier on the defensive coordinator not to have to worry about those particular type of plays. Though the end around that they ran to David Moore, I've been saying for a while, run that play a couple times a game. It's a 5-6 yard gain waiting to happen every time because you don't run it very often. Clip Central says, Hawks Nest, what seed do you predict you all will achieve? Okay, Clip, I'm going to give you 2 predictions on this, okay? One is if we go and actually get some more pass rushing help. The other is if we just stand pat and sit with the team that we have. If we stand pat and sit with the team we have, I think we barely eke this division out. We don't get the first round bye. We'll play in the first round. We probably get through the first round with a home game. Then we lose on the road in the second round. If we go get a pass rusher, at least 1, I sure would hope for 2. I'd feel better about 2, but if we get 2, I think the Super Bowl is definitely still within our purview at that point. Where am I reading messages from? Oh, I'm not up on the chat, guys, so sorry. We got new people in the chat here. I answer all the questions if you're new on this chat, so that's why I'm behind in the chat. I'm not right on it as you guys are pumping through, because I try to answer everybody's question if I can, especially if we get new folks in here talking. I tell you, 10 p.m. says, my friend left the Cowboys to be a 49er fan because of the Andy Dalton injury. That was a brutal hit that Andy Dalton took today. Man, that was tough. Check. Yeah, we're good here. Okay, so we're going to keep going here. I am way behind, folks, and I'm sorry about that, but we just have we got a lot of chat rolling through here. Claude Evans, how you doing? That pick that Russ threw could change the momentum. It did change the momentum, Claude. That's absolutely 100% true. And 10 p.m., yeah, Nick Bosa, Richard Sherman, Quan Alexander, D. Ford, Raheem Mostert, Jason Barrett, Deebo Samuel, all on the IR. You guys lost Deebo Samuel now, too? Goodness. Dylan Branco, who do you think the Hawks should trade for? The prime guys, Dylan, that I'd like to go trade for, the top end guys who I think would be feasible, be Quinnen Williams with New York Jets. I'd be open to him. J.J. Watt is a guy I would like. On the secondary level guy, Carlos Dunlap, Brian Kerrigan. Those would be guys, that I would definitely take a look at. If I could call up Dallas and ask them about Aldon Smith or DeMarcus Lawrence, if either of those 2 guys potentially are available, maybe even Everson Griffin, if you can pull him from there. I don't know what he's got left, but I'd even be open to bringing him in. I'm kind of not going to be a beggar or a chooser at this point. You know what I mean? I don't think we got to kind of just take whatever we can. 12th Man Nation, what's up? Schneider better sleep with one eye open until he finds a pass rusher and fire Norton. Don't disagree with you, man. I don't disagree with you at all. Zachary Schweleger, if we were to fire Ken Norton, who would we hire? I think the only way we'd fire Ken Norton is if there's a coach out there that they could grab right now. I mean, if you're talking midseason, it's obviously going to look at Dan Quinn. I don't think it happens midseason. I think it happens this offseason. I'd love to believe that they go get a bright young mind, Zachary, but it's probably going to be then Dan Quinn that you see return back into Seattle at that point. That'd be my best guess. If I was a betting man, that's how I'd bet. Daniel Park says, Dixon couldn't get any good punts today. It's a subtle thing, but something that could turn a tide in the game. He got one boomer. It didn't get inside the 20, but he had to get it. They were trying to pass rush him, and he got it off, but it wasn't his best game. George Rodriguez Gentry says, let's go Red Sea. Oh, George. You guys played good today. JP says, I'm a diehard Card fan, but to be honest, I think the Seahawks are still a better team, but we are knocking on the door. JP, your guys' arrow is going up. Your guys' Arizona, for your Arizona Cardinal fans who are in this chat, you guys, I've liked a lot of the moves you did this offseason. Obviously, the DeAndre Hopkins trade was what everybody gravitates towards. I like the Jordan Phillips signing. I liked going out and getting Isaiah Simmons with that first pick. As we saw in his interception at the end of this game, he's going to be a fantastic player, I think, in this league. A great modern-day NFL player that can move around a bunch. You guys are doing a lot of good things. Obviously, Budda Baker, Byron Murphy, and Kyler Murphy's going to come along, I think, as a player. So you guys are trending upwards. I think you continue to add on with what you added on to. I think you guys will be good. Debo's dad says, I know you're going through a right now, but welcome to my pain. But I wanted to ask you, do you think the Cowboys should hang this season up for good? Yeah, that's the thing we got to put in perspective with this. We're still at the top of the division. It's the first loss of the year. You can't feel too bad about yourself. If I was the Cowboys, yes, Debo's dad, I would be in a full sale mode right now to take advantage of the trade deadline, get yourself out ahead of the cap situation. I think the Dalton injury has proven that before the Dalton came in and played, we were kind of thinking maybe Dalton's really close to what Dak is. He's just not as mobile. After watching him play in that same offense and seeing what Dak could do in that offense versus what he's doing in that offense, I think Dak's earned his money at this point. I think they're going to have to pay him. And I don't think that they can go to a secondary option and think that they're going to be able to get by with it. You need to now, restructure that whole offensive line. How much does Tyron Smith have left? How much does, Lyle Collins is coming off a major injury. How much more time does Zach Martin have? They need to rebuild the offensive line. They need to fix their defense. This begins and ends with to me, kind of a selling out. Sell out the guys that aren't going to be there long term. DeMarcus Lawrence, get that contract out. Get Everson Griffin out. Get Alden Smith out. I would. Tringus Weekly says, yeah, Jay, same. Well, congratulations to you, Cardinals fans. You guys played a great game today. You earned that win. You earned it. Triboro, do you see the Seahawks winning the division? Go Giants. I still do see us winning the division. I do. I don't think our defense is going to play. I still think some moves are coming. You're getting Jamal Adams back. You're getting Snacks Harrison added into the mix here. There's a lot of reason for optimism in addition to a lot of other guys as far as reinforcements. Our first-round pick, Jordan Brooks, is coming back. So there's still stuff coming. And I only think we only have one season-ending injury right now, one guy that's out for the year fully right now, and that was our slot corner. So we're sitting pretty decently as far as our injury situation, too. Tring Nunga says, considering people said Cardinals have a Swiss cheese O-line before the season, well, they may still have a Swiss cheese O-line, or not a great O-line. We don't have a good pass rush. But they're maybe improved. I'm open to them being improved. They drafted that not Jacobs guy, but the lineman out of Texas. He's been pretty good for them. He was good in this game. Ben Bilkin, what's up, Ben? Blazers in 6. We were up 10 with less than 3 minutes left, as well as giving up 8 consecutive scoring drives. Is this defense bad because of a lack of talent or horrid coaching? I think you have a lack of talent on the defensive line, specifically Blazers in 6. So I would point to the defensive line as woefully under-talented. I would say that the coaching, as far as the scheme goes, it's gotten outdated, and they've not added enough wrinkles to add any kind of innovation to push this defense forward. So that's also a part of it. So it's a little bit of both to a degree, but certainly I think that a coach coming in with a little bit more innovative ideas, something new that they could bring to the table would be very welcome. We're a little stale right now on the defensive side of the ball. Nathaniel Parks, whose seat is hotter, Gase or Norton? Adam Gase. He's the only reason they're not firing him right now is they just don't want to. They know he's going to lose every game, so they just figure, let's tank for Trevor Lawrence, get Lawrence in here, and call it a day. And then we'll fire him at the end of the year. Carlton Webb, how you doing? He says, let's go Cardinals. You guys played a good game. Props to you guys. JP says, finally, you guys get a taste of your own medicine. Russell always killed us with his legs. Now we return the favor. Hurts, doesn't it? It does, though it didn't feel like it was the legs of Kyler that cost us this game. But, yeah, he's a good player. You guys played well. Randall McDaniel says, do we up the ante in a trade, Disley or Shaq? I was thinking about this. I would trade Shaquille. If somebody looks at Shaquille Griffin as a guy that they're willing to make the trade and then sign him to a contract extension, I would be up for trading Shaquille Griffin to get a pass rusher in here if it sweetens the pot. I would not be willing to trade Will Disley. I still like Will Disley's upside. But I would be willing on Shaq because I'm not going to sign Shaq to a contract extension at this point. So if that's the case, then bye-bye. Dylan Branco, you're the most humble Seahawks fan, but what do you think about a potential trade? Well, I'm hoping for the J.J. Watt or Quinn Williams or something outside the box that we're not considering for a really good pass rusher rather than some of these kind of also-rans like Carlos Dunlap or Kerrigan, who I don't think would be enough in them on their own. If you're doing one of those type of trades and then bringing in a Clay Matthews, I think that helps you and could be just enough, just by this much enough to get it done. But it's in bad shape. It's in bad shape right now. 10 p.m., I don't think it ever in my life have I ever seen Russell Wilson get injured. You don't remember 10 p.m.? The Niners are the one team that injured him. Remember it was Harold a couple of years ago? Got Wilson outside the pocket and dragged him down, and Wilson did. It was a lot of like the move with Dak earlier this year where Dak's leg got snapped where the defender's kind of just trying to pull him down, and Russell's trying to stay up, and he got the high ankle sprain by your guy. And then I think the week later, it may have been a re-aggravation of the injury. It was like Sue stepped on him before, and then that happened. JP says, end of the game, it was an amazing game. We barely won you guys over. We barely won. You guys are overreacting. Shows how spoiled you guys have become. Do you guys even remember your life pre-Russell Wilson? Relax, y'all. JP, we look through this lens in this season as Russell Wilson's Super Bowl window. We all hope he can play for the next 10 years at a high level and be marvelous and great, and we have a lot of shots at the prize. Hopefully that's the case. Football doesn't traditionally tend to be that case. You can look at guys like Tom Brady and go, see, the quarterbacks can play till they're 44 or 45 and still play at a high level. But for those guys like that, then you also got your Drew Breeses and Phillip Rivers types, the guys that start to get older and the age shows. And so he's in his prime right now. He's playing at MVP level right now. And the rest of the team you've surrounded him with is not great. He's just played so much above and beyond. And yeah, he's got some pass catchers and a good line now to a degree. But it's the thing where we look at, Jay, we've been to the playoffs for the last few years. It's not a successful season to us as fans. And I don't think it is for other, maybe it would be for you as a Cardinal fan to get to the playoffs. Maybe that's your guys' metric for success. We here, our metric is Super Bowls. That's how we gauge it. Shane Afton there says, Jay Myers is playing lights out. He is indeed playing lights out for sure. Yeah, this is not a bad team. I don't think anybody's saying this is a bad team. I think we're all being very specific in the points that we're pointing out, and we're understanding that these are the things that can upend a season. These are the things that can stop you from the potential of what you're looking to reach. And you've got a team so close and so complete to being a team that is a Super Bowl contending team. To have it upset again and stopped again for the same kind of reason that stopped your previous season, that's going to start to annoy any kind of fan. Doesn't matter how much success you've had. Andrew Zavala says, Ford looked so happy when we got his forced fumble. Ford made a great play on that ball. He came in and stripped that off DeAndre Hopkins. He did look happy. Francisco, so pumped we finally got the W in AZ. Elijah Floor, hello. How you doing, Elijah? Junior Romero, Cardinal fans acting like they won the Super Bowl. It was a well-fought game. It was a close game. It was a hard battle game. I understand why they'd be excited about it. They got a right to be excited. They're having a good start to their season. I am like 30 minutes behind the chat, but that's just how it rolls when I try to answer all the questions as I can, you know. I like to respond. Bird Gang AZ says, great game, Hawks. We will see you in Seattle. We will indeed. Great game, Bird Gang. You guys did well. Very, very well. Props to you. Giovanni Estrada, Seahawks choked big. I don't know if they choked big. They just didn't play well defensively as far as that goes to me. I mean, it was a choke is when you have it in your hands and then you let it out, and they lost their momentum there at the end of the game. The Cardinals got the momentum, and then they couldn't make plays. Cardinal made plays. Elijah Flores says, what are your thoughts on the Niners? I still think the Niners are dangerous. I still think that they're a team that hasn't packed up their bags and said, we lost our Super Bowl last year and we got an injury situation. They have every right now to be a team that could quit and say, the division's tough, our schedule's horrible. But I saw them playing today, and they were playing like they're playing a week ago against the Rams, where they're going for it. Their back's up against the wall. Their season's in peril. They know their guys are injured, but they're still trying their butts off out there. Props to that team. Props to that coaching staff. They have them playing really hard. And I think that they're a lot more dangerous than I thought they were going to be right now with the injury situation that they have sustained. Andrew says at least Brooks played pretty good. I thought, yeah, Brooks played pretty good. Brooks got out there, looked fast, looked quick, good in the run stuffing game. I'd have to look him up. I didn't get as many eyeballs on him in zone, and that's where my worry with Jordan Brooks is him in zone. Koski, LJ had a tackle for loss. Yep, he always gets one play a game. That's his metric for success, I guess, is if he can get one play a game where he does something. Bird Gang, glad Isaiah Simmons did something this year, laughing my ass off. Yep, I know he's been a little quiet for you guys, Bird Gang, but give that guy some time. Give that defensive coordinator some time to understand how to best utilize him. And I think once he gets going and really goes, he'll be fine. Andrew says, bro, LJ was such a waste, a complete waste, a horrible pick, a horrible pick. You can watch my draft reaction right now, draft day 2 years ago when we drafted LJ Collier, and I was absolutely incensed then, and there's not been one day I've wavered off that anger. Not one day. Dylan Bronco, LJ was the best defensive lineman in this game. If you say so, man. If you say so. Philip Kaiser, born an Arizona fan, happy we won. Do you think this was more of Seattle's loss or Arizona win? As an Arizona fan, I feel it was a Seattle loss. Digging it, but curious what you think. I think the Arizona Cardinals won this football game. You guys had to drive down there at the end to get that field goal. And you went back and forth. Teams had their chances. Teams failed at their chances. You guys, your defense came in and made a play when they didn't. You went through the whole game, not able to generate any pass rush or get a sack. And then when you needed it, your defensive coordinator drew up and got a sack when he needed it. He had Russell confused by the end of the game. Seattle wasn't able to run the ball or willing to commit to running the ball by the end of the game. These things point to me as us having lost the game and you having won it. And I think you guys got a right to revel a little bit. You guys played a really good game on a national spotlight. Understandable why you guys would be psyched. Bird Gang says, remember when our division was terrible, when the Hawks made the playoffs at 7-9? Yeah, it looks like maybe the NFC East is going to be the 6-10 division winning team this year, maybe even. We are a far cry from that. We might have every team in this division get to the playoffs this season. That'd be amazing, wouldn't it? Man, that'd be amazing. Kind of sucks to a small degree, Niner and Cardinal fans that are in the chat right now, because like you certainly would sometimes just like to be able to feast on, it's like the Patriots did for 20 years. Just feast on those weaklings. Just be able to rest guys an extra week because you're like, we got him. We don't need that guy. Can't do that anymore. Now you need every week. My goodness. Okay. I swear I'm hurrying on this chat, guys. I'm trying. Coffee's going, I'm rolling. Elena McCollum says, Niners run game will scorch us with Kittle and Jusic. Can't pronounce his name. Great blocking. They will own us. Our defensive line is weak, and we'll get owned. I think the one place where a tough matchup for the Niners is we are good at stopping the run, I think. If we're committed to it and it's not, Dalvin Cook out there running the ball and they're not going to necessarily have their prime running back out there, I think we'll be able to stop their run. Can we stop their pass? I don't know. On that one. Shane Hafner says, imagine if Chandler Jones was playing. It was one of the key reasons that I actually predicted Seattle to win this game. My last talk with DMAC on Friday, I think I had it at 31-34 Seattle, but my confidence came from lack of Chandler Jones just because he's destroyed Seattle every time he's played him. Doesn't matter if he's playing for the Cardinals or the Patriots. He's a game wrecker against us. I thought that was going to be a lot bigger, more into play than it was as the game went on. It wasn't the first half, but the second half they overcame it with some really creative schemes. Philip says, I would like to think so, but Seattle's a good team, better than my Redbirds. You got a good team, man. I think the loss of Chandler Jones is the tough part, Philip, as I speak to that. I mean, if you guys have Chandler Jones, I think you guys are right there with us, but I think that is one thing that will eventually kind of come to hurt you guys. They showed a stat that since 2016, he has more sacks in the NFL than anybody else. That's a tough loss. That's a defensive player of the year type guy you're losing. Dylan Bronco says, let's go Bears. Bears are good this year. I do think you're limited by Nick Foles in the quarterback play, though. I do think that. Giovanni Estrada says, Niners on fire and Seahawks will be trying to bounce back. It'll be a good, expect another hard-fought game, no doubt about it. Nathaniel Parks, with the Cardinals nano blitzing everyone, they couldn't. We have DK on a slant. Those blitzes were dead obvious. Something, right, Nathaniel? Just something from a short route concept that you just didn't see them integrate. And that's just get something short and quick on those blitzes where they're sending the house. Like you said, the nano blitzes or the the casino blitz, as they call it on the telecast, that should open up one-on-one opportunities. But it seemed like we would just be holding on the ball, or Russell would be confused as to where it was coming from, or the running back wouldn't block it up. Variety of kind of different reasons there. Oh, Debo isn't on the R. Debo's got a hamstring. That sucks, man. They were starting to look like they might have a couple with the rookie Brandon Ayuk there. Maybe they got finally a couple of receivers they could try it out there. That's tough if he is. Francisco says Cards adjusted after the half and started to bring the pressure. Finally, they did. They made a great adjustments, and we couldn't adjust to their adjustment. But they did a great. That's why I did. Somebody asked why, did the Seahawks lose it or the Cardinals win it? That's why I think Cardinals won it. The adjustments and the way their players played, they won it. Heel, Renzo, Kyle, Hige. You're new here. Well, welcome on in. Thank you for jumping on in the chat. I hope I can get you to subscribe and hit that notification bell. Please, all of you that are in the chat, do subscribe and hit that notification bell. It helps this channel grow immensely, and those people out there searching for Seahawks channels, especially you Cardinal fans. Love to see you as new subs. Shane Hafner asked, should we have taken Patrick Queen instead of Jordan Brooks? No, Shane, I don't think we should have taken an outside linebacker in the first round in a 4-3 scheme. I would argue, I just don't think there's ever a reason for doing that, in my opinion. Now, as a middle linebacker for the future, if he's going to be a guy who's going to take over Bobby in a year, maybe it's proven out to be a good play. But the initial production you're going to get out of him out as an outside linebacker is not him at his best position. And I don't think Queen would have been that much better for us. I think Queen's in a good, he's got a much more talented defense there. That's why he's playing better. And he's in probably a better scheme, their 3-4 scheme that they run over there at Baltimore. Bird Gang, my heart exploded during this game. Well, Bird Gang, we have to play these games every week. Can you imagine how it is every week having to go through this? I mean, look at our games this year with New England and Minnesota and Atlanta and the Dallas Cowboys. Where there's a throw at the end of the game for the win. Like every game, we got to go through this. It's crazy, the amount of drama and ups and downs are the Seahawks. It's just amazing. I've never seen it all my life. I've told our fans, Bird Gang, to appreciate it. Appreciate these kind of games, even in these losses, for the excitement that they bring, for how much fun they are to watch, because when Carroll and Russell Wilson move on, it's going to be probably back to the same old boring kind of stuff. Philip Kaiser says, Cards D's did show up today. Wish it wasn't so late. They did. They did indeed. Corpus N says, let's go Cardinals, baby. And somebody has mentioned they hope Richard Sherman guards DK. I think Sherman's still out with a calf injury. 10 p.m. can maybe speak to that. Cloud Evans says, I feel like if we had Shaquille Griffin, he could have changed the game. Could have been. I think you could make the argument between Shaquille, Chris Carson, and the other injury we had, one other guy that got injured. One of those three guys is actually able to play and stay on the field throughout the game. Maybe that makes a difference. CJ Schnack, Seattle made a bonehead penalties today late in OT and the fourth quarter. That hold for Moore lost the game, and jumping over the line on that field goal block. Can't argue with it. Those were both bad penalties at bad moments, and jumping offsides especially is a bad one there. You just can't do it in that moment. But I get where you're coming from. Shane Hafner says to think we could have had Budda Baker instead of Malik McDowell. I know. It's so unfortunate that you couldn't have brought him in. It is really unfortunate that that they didn't see that guy with the talent like they should have. He's from the University of Washington. It's our back door. They had a relationship with Chris Peterson, the former head coach of the University of Washington. You would have thought that they would have had some information to know this guy was going to be the player that he's kind of has been. Just a miss on their part. JP says, how do you guys feel about not being able to get Antonio Brown? I'm okay with it, JP, considering it was a $2.5 million deal, because I wanted to bring him in more of the league minimum, $1 million, $1.5 million deal. You start getting in the $2.5 million territory, now you're not going to get another pass rusher because you're eating up all of the rest of your cap space. Or it's going to make it a little bit harder to bring back in the pass rusher, which is, as we can see tonight, obviously more of the priority. So I'm okay with it. Especially, I think we are going to get Josh Gordon back at some point. Jonathan Young, you think Cam Chancellor wants to coach? Potentially. It's nice to see him reaching out, Jonathan, to Ryan Neal earlier this season and coaching him up throughout the week. He seems like a guy who could be pretty good in that role. Francisco, much respect to you guys, you Cardinal fans. Thank you for being so nice in the chat. I respect all you guys coming in, being so cool about the win. And, you guys won that game. Props to you. Dylan Bronco, Russ offensive coordinator in like 20 years. Well, he still might be trying to play back then, Dylan. He still might be trying to trot out on the football field. Can we put it past him? Bird Gang, bro, Sherman is slowing down. Yeah, Sherman's not the same player he once was. He's definitely lost a couple steps. The Achilles injury is a tough one. When you get that one, it's a hard one to sustain and push through. Magic Vlogs, thanks for staying on in there. Bird Gang says you might as well call the NFC the MFC West with the possibility of the whole division making it. Yeah, it's going to say something if our whole division makes it, man. That would be amazing. First time in NFL history, because obviously the first time it could happen. But the first time it potentially could happen, it does happen. I don't know if we're going to see that happen a lot in the NFL moving forward. Giovanni says the Niners made Cam get benched. They did. Played fantastic defense today, the Niners did. I was really impressed with what I saw out there on the football field. Zachary Schweleger. If we were to fire Ken Norton, who do we hire? I think it would be Dan Quinn if they were to do a midseason. If it's after the season, I have no really good suggestions. I would hope it would be somebody that would be an innovative hire, a young-minded guy with a lot of new ideas that he could bring into bloom. Hard to say, though. Daddy Dennis, what's up? I could get down with Cam as a defensive coordinator. I'd be interested in see what Cam could do as a coach. I'd like to see him first try as being like a secondary coach first, and then maybe build off of that. Start a little slow. Crawl before you walk. Dylan says, I swear I could literally read most of the plays the Cardinals ran today. Hire me. And it didn't seem like they were reading much out on that defensive side of the ball. Randall McDaniel. I wonder why we didn't utilize the 6th OL package this year, get Jamarco Jones on the football field. I think some of it's a little bit of the unique talent that George Fant is, that he's a little bit of a guy that I think it was a tight end in college. So he had a little bit more of that movement ability there, I think, from the tackle position than maybe some of these kind of plotters out there. And I think they also like Jacob Hollister. It seems like they're moving him out there more as that third tight end when they do run out that set. Jose Villa. Yeah, Wilson got to cut that crap with the 50-50 throws and praying his receivers can adjust every throw. The last interception was a horrible throw. Yeah, he had some bad ones. The interceptions, I think, were all kind of pretty bad today. It's tough to excuse any of those throws. It's sometimes, too, if there's other extra downs, he needs to just throw it away and live to live another day. He's got to embrace that a little more sometimes rather than trying to make every play. Jose Dominguez, Josu, I don't know. I might call you Mr. Dominguez or Mrs. Dominguez here. We need to fire a defensive coordinator. Yeah, I think we're getting a lot of that in the chat tonight. I think that's been the overwhelming theme of tonight from the chat has been folks are ready for Dorn to be gone. And I'm not going to go up against that in any way, shape, or form. Not at all. In fact, I lean to agree. JP, I think your guys' defense is okay. You guys just have been using great defenses in the past. JP, we're on pace, JP, to give up more yards in the air than anyone else in NFL history. I mean, wasn't there an 0-16 Detroit team at one time? Wasn't there a 2-14 Seattle Seahawks team at one time? To give up that amount of pass yardage, your defense is not good at that point, and it's not okay at that point. There's no formula where that's okay. And it needs to be fixed. It absolutely needs to be fixed. Daddy Dennis says, if your opponent attempts 48 passes and you get 0 sacks or hurries, you fire your defensive coordinator before he gets on the plane. I would. Being, you guys got some fun names to pronounce. Bean says, Seahawks can't beat the Ravens or the Chiefs. I agree. Right now, we can't beat those teams as we're constructed right now. Not unless we just got on fire on a game and things just broke in our way and the ball bounced funny and the officials helped us with some calls. No, we wouldn't. Not right now. Jeff Boyce, Stan Fouts. What's up, Jeff? Chris Loki, 5-1, and talking about firing the defensive coordinator. Well, Chris Loki, again, I just want to point this back to you guys. Your defense has been a complete sieve, a complete and utter sieve. You're giving up more yards in the air than anyone else in NFL history. If that's not a prerequisite for getting fired, then what is? It's not by happenstance. You haven't had a major amount of injuries around that defense. You've had some injuries, but it's not been decimated. And it matches the eye test. The yardage given up, the points given up, it also matches the eye test. When you look at them on the football field, they're not doing anything creative or inventive to overcome what maybe could be a lack of talent. And just being 5-1 is not good enough because, again, context matters. Just saying a triple stat like 5-1 doesn't tell you the whole picture in the story. And if the offense is lifting twice the weight of the defense up the hill, there's a problem at play that needs to be addressed. Bien says Ravens whooped Seahawks last season. You didn't whoop us. It was a close game throughout. D-Boy says, D-Mac told me we didn't have anything to worry about in this game, so tell him we got beef now. I will tell him. I will tell him just that. Lamar Jackson is going to get figured out by better teams. They won't make it far. I still tend to sell low on Lamar as well. I will tell you, though, that Yannick Ngakoue trade by them was a masterful move by the Ravens. And what they've done defensively to rebuild their defense in the last year, I could end up helping them out quite a bit in the playoffs with a guy like that. But Lamar's going to have to throw the ball in the playoffs. He's going to have to prove beyond his feet that he can throw the football. He's going to be challenged in that way, and that's where it's really where the rubber is going to meet the road with that guy. Francisco says you guys are missing Irvin's pass rush. A little bit, Francisco. Again, he's a guy a lot like Ben Samayoa, where he's not a guy who's going to be ever threatening into the 12, 13, 14 sack range. He's a 7 to 8 sack a year guy as a rotational rusher. Would he give us more than what we've gotten so far right now the last couple games? Yeah. But did he give you much in the first game? No. I don't think he had a sack up until the point he got injured this season. And I don't think he got that many quarterback hits either. Mr. Dominguez says DK was shut down. Patrick Peterson did get the best of him today. He did indeed. Nathaniel says, do you think that the pass rusher will fix Ken Norton's horrid defense? That has a question that needs to be asked. Look, we're never going to be a top 5 defense this year. We're never going to be a top 10 defense this year. And it may be even a stretch to say that you get to a top 15 status. I do think you have the ability to get to the top 15, though. You get back Jamal Adams, you get back Snacks Harrison, you add in 2 pass rushers. Okay? That to me builds the defense back up. Eventually Rasheem Green comes back into play. Maybe Jordan Brooks comes back into play. Maybe there's some other injuries that occur as well in addition to that, but I tend to think there's some upside to that particular type of defense at that point. You go from being league worst now to being into the 15 range. Yes, I think you're okay. And why would it do that? Because I think those corners that are being beat on those deep routes down the field now don't have to defend those deep routes as much because your pass rush is actually getting home quick sometimes from time to time. I do think it could help. Alex Orso Zalan says, life is pain. It is pain. Life is always pain. East J says, how about them 3 picks? Yeah, you guys got a 3 picks. Bien says, Seahawks need a defense. We do need a defense. Dominguez says, I missed Legion of Boom. I missed Legion of Boom. Tonight more than ever. I don't know your name because you don't have a name, but you said when Jamal Adams and Snacks play, I think the defense will be fine. We just need to make a trade to get a signature pass rusher. I don't think we'll be fine. We'll be better, but I think we'll be fine with the last sentence you added on to that. Anthony Habib, how you doing? Would you say that next week is a must-win? Because I think if we don't fall to 0-2 in the division, it's getting pretty close to a must-win for me. Yeah. You got to start winning these division games are going to be tough. You got to play the Bills in a week after at 10 a.m. Yeah. Brandon McDaniel says maybe Washington would be willing to part with one of the young defensive ends like Kerrigan, I think is like what you're mentioning, for a Penny or a Disley. Now, Penny one would be interesting because they lost the kid out of LSU at the start of the season after he hit the woman, I think. So they do need some help there at running back, theoretically speaking. Maybe you could make that work. Space asks, what's up with Rashad Penny? Rashad Penny comes off the IR after Week 8. He's a Week 8 IR designation, so that is when you will see him coming off. Johnny Utah. Oh, I love that. That's a Point Break reference. Nice. There were a lot of games. There was a lot of good games today. There were some good games today. That Tennessee game early on against the Steelers, that was a hell of a game, wasn't it? James Harden's beard says a must-win against the Niners game. That's a gimme game. I'm not calling it a gimme game, not with this team. There's no games on our schedule that I'm calling gimme except for like the Giants, Jets, and maybe the Washington game at this point. Krzyzlowski says Russell seemed unstoppable minus a couple of plays. Hard to call a guy unstoppable when he got 3 interceptions and he was shut down through most of the second half. I can't speak to that being unstoppable level of play. Daddy Dennis says Carson's injury sounds bad, minimum 2 games. It's a problem with him. That's why you that's why you had to have such a deep running back core coming into this year. You had to have a DJ Dallas that you drafted in the 4th round. I wouldn't mind seeing a call placed to Marshawn Lynch at this point. I really wouldn't. Maybe that's not the answer, but I don't want to see the running back room decimated down to where we're watching DJ Dallas and Travis Homer getting significant carries at any point in time this season. Daddy Dennis, Shaquille Griffin concussion protocol? Yep, he is. He is indeed. Running a train on Giz Lane. Oh, my God. Oh, my, that's the naughtiest name I've read on this chat. Oh, that is so wrong. That is so wrong. Oh, my gosh. That just threw me off my game. Your name just threw me off. Den says we can't win by more than a touchdown. Nope, we can't. We can't indeed. Ben says he's got Seahawks going 13-3. I'm going to still hold on to my 14-2. The schedule gets really easy for us after this next stretch of this next 4 games. It gets a lot easier. Johnny Utah says, when will Pete Carroll retire and who will take his place? I don't think Coach Carroll's retiring for another couple of years, Johnny Utah. And I'll make a wild prediction to you that it's going to be Lincoln Riley will finally come here to coach Russell Wilson in his later 30s. That's my best case, but I'm talking a couple years down the line, so it makes it that hard to make a guess on it. It's Chris. Cardinals came back wanting to play, and Kyler was flawless. Kyler played really well down the stretch, smart decision-making. He had that one weird interception where he sort of stopped his wind-up mid-throw and then still kind of threw it. But he played really well today. Kyler played really well for them today. Randall says, my jersey needs a washing anyways. Getting stinky. Yep. Got to reset that karma. Got to reset the juice. Pete does have his fingers all over this defense. I agree. Daddy Dennis, Norton's defense was historically bad in Oakland. It has been just as bad in Seattle. Maybe in 20 years he'll coach an average defense. Yeah. How much data do you need for a guy to realize that he's not a good defensive coordinator? It's like, what? Guy's just been failing and failing and failing. It's time to, call the ball on this one. Running the train says, I'm going to keep the Tide Pods on deck. We'll play again soon. Sounds good. I've had 10 heart attacks. Maybe we can beat the Jets by 10. Maybe, just maybe. Yeah, hopefully by those games we can at least win those by 10 points. It sure would be nice to get a couple of those games in, wouldn't it? Dylan says, how much longer do you think Pete has it in him? I think Pete's going to go for a couple years, you guys. He wants to keep going. He thinks he's got that young mind, and he's going to keep going. He's got Russell, and, he's not going to give it up. That contract extension was the key to me. We heard the rumors of that extension coming, and that's been the one went, oh, okay. He's not going to leave after the year. He's still going to stay on. Great. Uptown Bear 19, we are the Cardiac Cards. I was around for heart explode games or utter catastrophes. Well, it's a fine line, isn't it, Uptown Bear? And this one was right there, man. That was just definitely a heart attack game. Make you on the edge of your seat, make you pace the room, cuts, all that stuff. Daddy Dennis, Cards putting 6 to 9 guys in the box and throwing exotic blitz after exotic blitz at us. Teams have been doing that more and more now, Daddy. They've been doing that more and more, and we need to find an answer for it from a schematic standpoint. Shane Afner, DJ Dallas missed a block badly. He did. He got up in the hole, and he just I don't know what he's seeing on that play. I don't know what he's thinking, and that's where you miss Homer big time there. James Ben Brooks, your comment got deleted, but posted again there. We'll get it. If we can get through these next 5 games, at least 4 to 5 wins will be good. Well, my prediction is actually if we get through this 5 games, including this game tonight, at 3-2, I think that you could easily go 6-0 through the back half of your schedule. So that was my prediction before we got into this stretch of games. We'll see if it holds true. But it's still there. The first place, home field advantage, all that's right there still for the taking. Elena, why weren't we blitzing Shaquem off the edge more? They were playing him more in the spiral, which seemed to have some diminishing returns as the game went along, but I don't know. he's been one of our better blitzers. It's weird you didn't send him more often. They went with the three-man front, give Kyler all day to throw the ball, and then have a spy who then got outran by Kyler when he got to the edge. Kind of weird. Stephen Machado, do you think Wilson hurt his way to early MVP case so far? He went back. He's probably back around with the rest of the field at this point with your Aaron Rodgers and whatnot. So he's probably back into that realm. .415 Garcia says, Niner fan here, looking forward to an exciting game next week. Me too, 415, man. I think it's going to be a good game. I think it's going to be another close game. That's just how these Division Ones go, isn't it? They also always seem to be just these hard-fought affairs, and you guys played a really good game this week. I was hoping to watch you guys play against the Patriots and see you guys just kind of down on the injury situation, ready to pack it in. Division looks tough. Schedule looks tough. No. You guys came with it. You guys tried. You guys were just like you were last week against the Rams. Really, really pushing. Shaquem seems to bring heat off the edge. He just rarely gets his chance. Yeah, he just doesn't seem to get as many opportunities. It's kind of odd. What's up, Brandon Allen? Uptown Bear, thanks for streaming. Hope next time we play, it's prime time again. I hope so too. I appreciate you checking me out. And yeah, I love these primetime games, man. They're so much fun. Dylan Bronco, the NFL has to do something about the playoff seeding. I don't know. I'm okay with it. I like the one team getting a bye out of each conference where you really got to earn that bye. I like that idea, you know. Yeah, DJ Dallas has some upside still to him. I like some of how he had a couple of runs, and I think it was the Dallas game or something where he looked pretty good. But the claim to fame when he came out of college was he was the best blocking running back in college football last season. He didn't look it tonight, filling in for Travis. Travis Homer looks like a better third down option for us right now. Shane Hafner says Fitz looks so relieved once he saw that field goal kick. This will probably be his final season, and we own them in AZ, but they own us in Seattle. That's been how it's played out recently. Nathaniel says, I understand that they don't want to fire anyone mid-season, but Ken Norton has given you nothing. What more do you need? That's what I'm saying, man. That's exactly what I'm saying. Tyrone Pepe, question here. Why is everyone overreacting about Russell's 3-pick game? Is he still the MVP frontrunner? And plus, Patrick Mahomes threw 3 picks against the Rams in 2018-2019. Our defense is shoddy. Well, Tyrone, I don't think anybody is pointing to Russell Wilson in this game and saying he's the reason we lost this game. I think we have a pretty far and away a consensus here in the chat by everybody through this whole stream who said, look, this is on the defense. Defense is the one that sold us out in this game. Now, Russell can't throw 3 interceptions with this defense in the state it's in. He can't do that, especially on interceptions that he can control, i.e. not tip passes or a receiver not running the right route. He had at least 2 of those throws where he should not have thrown those passes. But he's not the problem here. He's probably still in the MVP realm for things. He's tied Peyton Manning for out the shoot, most touchdowns thrown out the shoot, 22 touchdowns thrown or something. So all that's still, fine and everything. But this is less to do about MVP and more to do about, of course, winning the Super Bowl. We're getting some requests to ban Brandon. Running says, I'm not really trying to be an a-hole, but because I like and root for Shaquem, but trying to make him guard Murray was just mean. Yeah, they had no answer for what to do with Murray. It was one of my big worries coming into this game because Murray's really been running around like Lamar Jackson this year, where last year he was more doing the Russell Wilson thing and being a little more protective of himself, and this year he's kind of just going for it. But yeah, that was a tough pull. I kind of didn't mind it. I wanted to see how it would look a couple times, but he just wasn't able to get it done. And yeah, we get under 50 people in here. We're gonna get some trolls, that's for sure. So hang in there, folks. So I got my mods on the case. Randall, you have a good one, man. I'll catch you on Facebook, actually. Gary Wensloff says Seattle is a pretender, not a contender. Well, I can understand where somebody would come through with this point. They are very reliant on Russell Wilson and the spectacular offense. The defense is in certain, I'm not going to say shambles, but from past defense-wise, it's in complete shambles right now. I can understand why somebody would have that opinion. I don't necessarily fully agree with it, Gary, but I understand why you got that opinion. I know where you're coming from on it. Running Train says we'll give you Curtis Riley for DK. No. No. He's ours and you can't have him. He's mine. He's our precious. He's our precious. That was a horrible golem. Steven Machado says, lucky you play Niners offense that don't throw the ball down the field in the air, laughing out loud. Yep. I mean, if this is one place where we might be a little bit okay, Steven, it's that Garoppolo cannot throw out to the sideline, especially deep down the field. I still think he's going to have holes in this defense to chop up, though. I do, because we're not going to be able to generate pass rush. And especially in that first win last year against them, it was Clowney generating that pass rush almost sometimes single-handedly in that game that helped us win that game. We don't have that now. There's no Clowney out on the football field anymore. Nathaniel says the D sucks. To get an example, go down to your local high school track and run a 4.5 miles, and you understand why we need Norton out and some pass rush. Yeah. I think it's 100% legit to call for Norton's job as well, Daddy Dennis. I don't think there's anything wrong with it. I just think it's not likely they'll do it, but if they did it, I would be very happy with it. Because I think that we've seen the highest upside we can see of Ken Norton's defense at this point. It's only going to go, in my opinion, further downhill from here. And it's bad. Wilson Breckenridge, nice game from the Chassis something or other, whatever you said. Yeah, Wilson. Yeah. Chris says, as a Cardinals fan, I didn't expect any less of an intense game as we did. You guys played great on offense. I'm glad to have you guys as our rivals. I am too, Chris. I think we got some years to come with some great games between Kyler and Russell dueling it out as we go forward over the next few years. I expect you guys to be good for the next few years. Whether you push for a Super Bowl or not, it's going to depend on the development of those young guys you've brought in and drafted recently. But it seems like we play these kind of games a lot too. You guys are a lot like us, a lot of other teams in this league, where it's just like it's always a close game. Of course, I'm sure as you were hearkening back to our tie game a couple of years ago, that just nobody could win the football game, And again, in this one, we took it right down to the end. Part of me at the end of the game was almost as Russell was rushing up to the line to try to with 2 minutes left in the game. Part of me was thinking, Russ, just let the clock run out. Just let it. If we end out this game as a tie, it's a win for us. That's how I was sort of thinking it. Maybe I shouldn't have, but I was so spiritually exhausted by that point. Ruben Gonzalez, what's your take on Kyler Murray after tonight's game? I thought Kyler Murray played very much a similar game of what we've seen with Russell Wilson in the past. I think the most impressive part to me was we had times where our guys had their hands on him and they couldn't bring him down to the ground. We've seen with Russell at times when guys get their hands on him, he can get brought down. He's just very much a master of keeping guys with their grasp off of him. But Kyler showed some strength to get out of those grasps and then make those scrambles. He had the one throw that was the bad throw, but beyond that, I thought his decision-making was strong and stout. He was on point. He made a lot of really good throws. He had to run some offense at times where he was in a hurry-up drill and had to get the offense up the field quick, especially at the end of the game there where they were trying to just get that ball up quick. I thought he played really well. I thought he did a great job. Props to Kyler tonight. Kyler continues to develop, and I think he's right now the second-best quarterback in this division as we stand right now. Dylan says it's smart for Pete not to rush Jamal and Snacks in. I agree. I don't mind them resting those guys. You had some room for error. You were up by 2 games in this division. You had some reason to understand you could hold up a little bit. Now, as Kenyon Drake, it's never good when they cart him off, man. It's never good. Hopefully that kid's going to be able to bounce back, but that was brutal. He's in a contract year too, I think, so tough one for him. Jaden says, right, Cardinals fans is toxic. We've had some good Cardinals fans here in the chat. I'll give them pride. Most people coming in have been pretty good. Pretty good. Glitzy Gobbler says, when is Daryl Taylor coming back? Supposedly he's making some steps forward and he's getting back for further. Glitzy, though, I don't know how much we're going to be able to rely on this guy. I mean, no training camp, no off-season mini camps, no preseason games, and now he's going to have missed half the year at least. What can we really expect from the kid? Somebody's just asked there. Just my take on Kyler is that Kyler's second best quarterback in this division, man. Ruben, he's going to be a good quarterback for years to come. With him, the accuracy was the surprising thing for me tonight. I thought if you had him throwing 45 times a game, I thought we'd see a couple more of those throws like you saw with Quandre That seems to be more of what you've seen with Kyler at times, where if he's going to throw that much, he'll throw a few of those to you where you get a chance at it. But he was very careful with the ball in that respect. So that was the part that probably, that and getting out of the clutches of guys' hands when they had their hands on him were the two things that really impressed me about him tonight. Cadles says, do you think we should fire Ken Norton? I do. And I think that that's been the overwhelming consensus of this chat, Cadles, by most people who popped in here. They've said we need to let go and get rid of this guy ASAP. JP says, do you think the Kyler Murray and Russell Wilsons of the world could change how organizations look at quarterbacks and not always necessarily look at height and length? It could, JP. There's a lot of guys that have failed out at those same size and height points who have been around that height as well. But, you saw this with the Eagles, right? They go in the second round and they got that kid out of Oklahoma who, from a skill standpoint, really in any other year for the last 10, 15 years would have been more of that fourth and fifth round range. But he gets drafted up in the second round by the Eagles. And I think specifically because of the successes you've seen with Russell Wilson and Kyler Murray. It's going to take always a special kind of guy to play at that height because you cannot see over the top of those offensive linemen. There's times where you're going to be restricted in what you can see. There's certain routes that are hard for you to throw, like the slant routes, the short crossers, those kind of plays. So it's not just a guy who's got the physical ability with the arm strength and touch at that size and the mobility. It's also his ability to play around his size limitations, to play within that, which is just another layer of difficulty to being at that height. But I think it's going to open the door to teams being more open to taking chances on that guy, on those kind of guys. Chris said the Cards finally broke the curse of Seattle at the Cardinals Stadium. They did. We had reeled off a lot of wins there for a while, actually. So they did indeed. Gerard Smart says, our offense always put in a position to win. Defense just lets us down every week. Well, they've come through a couple times, Gerard, this year. I mean, you got the stop against the New England Patriots at the end of the game. Cam Newton, it's 4th and 1, goal line. How often does Cam Newton get stopped in those type of situations running the read option? But we stopped him. And then a couple weeks ago against the Minnesota Vikings, 4th down. All they got to get is a half yard. They've been running on us at will throughout the game. They get the stop. The defense has been the problem. The defense is definitely the issue. But they have had a couple of points and stops where they've risen up at times in this season. Francisco, why didn't you guys re-sign Clowney? Francisco, if you went and saw my videos, I was begging for it. And I actually got to play with the guy online playing video games throughout the season a decent amount and kind of learn a little bit about the inside story of what was going on with those negotiations. Essentially, Seattle just wasn't willing to go up and meet the same price that the Tennessee Titans were. And if they had been willing to meet that price, maybe he's over here instead. But it's part of the thing that's bothered me, Francisco. It's why I've continued to be mad about the pass rush and so angry about it is we've been harping on this for so long. For so long, this has been an issue. This isn't just pop up this game or just this season. This is going back to last year. At the end of the year last year, you finished off the season, and you could have made the argument your top 3 best pass rushers last season were Jadeveon Clowney, Quentin Jefferson, and Al Woods. You let all those guys go in free agency, and all you brought in was Benson Mayo and Bruce Irvin as pass rushers. Odd. Just very odd. Jaden says, do you think we're healthy enough to beat the 49ers, especially with the running game? I do. Snacks Harrison comes back in. That's going to help out a bunch. James Harden says, just bad decisions by Russ. Yeah, it's just bad decisions on those throws. You played it overall great tonight. Just the interceptions were brutal. Eleno, I don't know how Kenyon Drake is. We'll have to wait for probably get an MRI, I would guess. Gerard says we've got to change the defensive scheme. I agree. It's time for a change, man. It's time for a change. Or if you're going to keep the 4-3, maybe not the 4-3 under. Maybe it's the wide 9-4-3 like the 49ers run. Or maybe it's an attacking 4-3 defense like you see in the league. Whatever it is that they look for at that point, just something. Something. Flag Sabbath says, Clowney not looking good this year. Clowney's looked all right. He had one bad game last week. I don't know how I played this week, but last I checked, he was one of the lead leaguers in pressures, which we got no pressures today, or only just a couple. David Kowalski says, DJ Dallas in pass pro and OT equals fail. Yeah, that was disappointing to see. That was a tough one, especially when we let the guy run right free at Russ. I don't know what it is. Our running backs can't stay healthy. Like, even when they get like a small amount of carries and they're not being used too much, everyone always gets beat up throughout the whole year. It's so weird. Everybody but Marshawn. You can go back to Rawls and Lacey's, and it's crazy. Cato says we need to fire our defensive coordinator. Yeah, this is the consensus tonight, folks. We need to fire our defensive coordinator. I think if I was to take a poll tonight, I think we would be at like about a 98% range on firing the defensive coordinator. Gerard says defense is awful. Started off good in the first couple of minutes, but after just couldn't get off the field, plus penalties was hurting us so bad. Yeah, they've got no room for error. They can't make stupid, silly penalties at the end of the game. They've got to play on point, on ball. It's bad. It's bad. Cato says, do you think we should fire Ken Norton and sign Dan Quinn for defensive coordinator? I can't. He couldn't be worse at this point, could he? I mean, at least a shakeup would get the players' attention. Supreme Menace, how you doing? Key plays by some big plays made the game 100. I agree. Players won it in this one. This was a play. This is the best team won today. They did. And please do smash that like button if you are in the chat and haven't smashed it already. And if you're not already subscribed, come on, subscribe. I don't do clickbait videos. Just good, honest Seahawks football talk. Supreme Menace says Pete is a great coach. I do think Pete is a great coach. I just question Supreme Menace, his defensive scheme and its overall effectiveness in this league. Let's go look over at the Chargers in recent years with Gus Bradley as the defensive coordinator running that scheme. How's that done over the last few years? Not very well. Look at the Atlanta Falcons who just fired Dan Quinn, who's also got the Seattle Seahawks 4-3 under scheme. How's that done over the last few years? Not very well. You saw the 49ers move off the Seahawks scheme last year to the wide 9 and have a lot more measurable success running that wide 9 off the 4-3 under. It's been a scheme that's been exposed a little bit over the last few years. It needs some changing, but Pete's holding on to it with the clutches and white-knuckle grip. I'm not exactly sure as to why. I really hope we trade or sign for someone this week. I do too. I desperately am going to be just hitting refresh on my Twitter feed all day, tomorrow, next day, day after. Just come on, make a deal. Tyrone Pepe, I want Frank Clark back. If you want Frank Clark back, then you want DK gone. You can't have one without the other. Jaden says the Bears D is crazy. Bears defense is crazy. It's going to be interesting to see how far they can take them, though, because they're doing a lot of that gadget trickery, smoke and mirror stuff on the offensive side of the ball, which how far is that going to be able to get you into the playoffs? Jacob DLG says, division games, man, they're fun to watch, but are heartbreakers. Oh, they are. Well put. Elena says we won't beat the Rams and Niners with this defense. Maybe not. We are getting Jamal Adams back. We are getting Snacks back. Those aren't perfect teams in their own right, but you may have a point on that. Us not having fans at home is also huge. They play a big part in our wins. I agree. It's hurt this year. We've been one of the teams, if not the main team, to be hurt this season by not having fans in the stadium. That is absolutely 100% the truth. I can't argue with that. But as Elena says, Jamal is not going to solve all the problems here. He's not going to solve all the issues at play here. We need more than that. Chris says, don't be mad at the team. The NFC West will be a bloodbath. It will be. It's going to be these kind of games, man. This set the tone. Here's our first division game of the year. Here we go. Strap in, folks. Strap in. The Booty Bandit, welcome on to the chat with his Bang Bang Niner gang. Anthony Habib, yep. Next, the Cardinals for the Seahawks game will be in Seattle on Thursday night. That'll be a good one. Boy, those Thursday night games are tough, too. 49ers D is average at best. It probably is with some of the losses they've had. They're not as ferocious in their pass rushing. Their linebackers are playing pretty good, though. Playing really good. Fluffy Panda 20 says, let's go Cardinal fans. Where are you at? Sorry, Seahawks fans, but we are the real birds here. I don't know about that, but I appreciate you jumping on in the chat. You guys have been really pretty cool fans in the chat today, you Cardinal fans. Props to you in the game and props to you in the chat. Always like having some good back and forth with our division rivals. You know, the Niner fans get in here a lot of times. The mud gets slinging. Daddy Dennis is ready for some Philip Dorsett. Well, maybe he's ready to come back in here. I don't know. It's going to be interesting on that. And James Harden, yeah, the Patriots were pretty depleted in that game as well. But boy, Cam Newton and the difference between how he looked in throwing against our team at home versus how he looked throwing, I think, in New England against the 49ers in that game, he just kind of went, He looked like just a completely different player. Francisco says, Kyler ate their D for lunch. Think Russell will do the same? I hope so. Nathaniel Parks, I wonder if Reggie White would be an improvement over LJ right now. Well, now you know, Nathaniel, Reggie has passed on to the greater beyond, so if that's a joke about a corpse being even better than what LJ is at this point, then you get a thumbs up for me on that one. Strix FN, are you more mad about the penalties or the interceptions? Good games from a Cards fan. Let me go backwards on that one to the front, Strix. I would say I'm more mad about the interceptions. The penalty situation, I didn't love the penalties or the way this game was officiated. I would never go anywhere near blaming this game on the officials, of course. And some of those penalties were legitimate. You know, like the holding call in the bubble screen, that was a legitimate call. That was legitimate. The offsides and going over the top by Mayoa, that's a legitimate call. I can't argue with that. Completely legitimate. But no, the interceptions were more worrisome because those were controllable, Strix. Those were controllable. Thanks for hopping in the chat. Brian McAdams, Cardinal fans here. Fun beating a team headed to the Super Bowl. Wow. I appreciate you saying that, man. Damn, you guys are talented. What a game, though. You guys are a really good team, and you're on the rise, Brian. And just to all you Cardinal fans here in the chat, I said it before and said it again, but this offseason, I thought you guys killed it. The key free agent signings you made, the trading of Denard Hopkins and taking advantage of the idiot that is Bill O'Brien. We did it last year with our Clowney trade. You guys did it this year. Props to you offloading David Johnson's contract in the same trade, which was just mind-blowing. But I loved Isaiah Simmons. I love the left tackle that you guys got. I wanted our team to get one of the great tackles out of this last draft. We had one of the best drafts for tackles in the last 20 years in this draft. You wanted to get one of these top 10 guys. You just wanted to, because even if he wasn't going to be a Pro Bowler, you were getting a guy for 10 years in this league. Starter, write it down. You guys did that with Josh, I think it's Roberts or something like that. The guys are on the rise, man. And I like Kyler. I thought he was scary coming into this year with the year he had last year. I think he still continues to be a scary player to play against. Number 2 quarterback right now in this division, and another couple of players you guys get in there. You know, another couple tweaks and turns of the knobs and switches. You guys are a team that's going to be right there, right there. Kua Illuminati says, "Go Bears! Hope we do another NFC West a favor tomorrow." I do too. I do too. I'm gonna be hoping. Flag Savage says, Reggie White is the reason I like football. He was an amazing player. He was an amazing player. And nobody's ever been able to replicate his patented move. He had the move where he'd take his arm and he would use it as a bat, a club, and he'd go up under the offensive lineman's arm, right? And then he would literally send the offensive lineman flying up through the air and then just go right inside directly to the quarterback. Never seen a player with that kind of play strength like that. Just amazing. Maybe a guy like Donald's a little bit like that at times. The way he can kind of jack people up. How do the Cardinals own the Seahawks? Didn't the Seahawks beat the Cardinals by 50 once? Yeah, I think they've had, the better end of it lately overall. I feel like they've been a little bit up on us a little bit maybe. But I'd have to look at what the recent record's been. Elena says Niners have 1/4 their defense out and we beat them better than us on the road. Yeah, that's a cause for optimism against the Niners next week. But I do think it's going to be a close game. I don't think we have any right to feel super uber confident coming into this game. Of course, having Jamal helps too, though. As long as we keep scoring, we won't have trouble beating the Niners, says James Harden. Maybe not. Maybe not. Walrus. You guys make me tongue twist with these names. He says, rest in peace, Cortez Kennedy, most underrated defensive lineman of all time. Yeah, he might just be. Quiet Hall of Famer, but put apart for Cortez, Walrus, and I'm sure you remember this as well, as he had to play on some really tough teams throughout most of his career. His prime was played in the dark, literally in the dark, because those are games in the 90s. Many of them were blacked out because we couldn't get fans in the stadiums because we're so bad for so long. But he was a great player. Great player. MWeb says, John has always made a move when we were in the Super Bowl contention. Percy Harvin, 2014. Jimmy Graham, 2015. Dwayne Brown, Richardson, 2017. The worst pass rush in the league. He's 100% going to make a move. Well, I agree with you, MWeb. He's shown a willingness to make a move. The thing he might do, though, is he might tell you, MWeb, if he's in this chat right now, he might say, I already made the move. Jamal Adams. That was my go-for-it move, because the moves you mentioned there weren't made at the trade deadline. Percy Harvin was the offseason. Jimmy Graham was the offseason. Dwayne Brown was right about week 3, I think, or so, week 4. Sheldon Richardson was in training camp, or at the end of training camp, at the end of preseason. So I hope he does. I hope he does. Greg Danielson says the Cardinals played like crap and they still won. I didn't think they played like crap. I thought they played pretty solid. They weren't great defensively, but they're missing their best player defensively. You knew they're going to be hanging on a little bit for that being the case. Oh my goodness, we're back. My deal just froze up. I thought I lost you guys. Jacob DLG says we still have 7 game day starters on defense injured. Still have faith. I got faith, brother. I'm not lost the faith. I just want a little bit more reinforcements. As Elena said, we need to get Carlos Dunlap or Ryan Kerrigan ASAP. We need some reinforcements. Fluffy Panda says, in the past, Seahawks beat the Cardinals by 50 points, but those are dinosaur days. We own the Hawks in the current days, son. Okay. Cato says, I hope we get a top 15 defense by the end of the season. If we can have the defense to a top 15 state, Cables, we're winning the Super Bowl. No doubt about it. No doubt about it to me. You get from the back end of like 31, 32 in the league up to 15 with this offense. That's a Super Bowl winning team. Jaden, the 12th man, will go back to Seattle and put up a fight against the 4-3 Niners. Well, I don't think we get to have fans in the stadium, unfortunately, but I would hope we do. Flag Sabbath, Cortez is a Hall of Famer, not underrated. Yeah, but maybe not. There's ways Hall of Famers can still be kind of considered underrated. Jaden, we should have traded for Yannick Ngakoue. I agree. I would have flipped a second-round pick to the Vikings if he would have been up for that. That would have beat out the third-round pick that the Ravens added. But Seattle, you know, I can only guess that right now Schneider's just really valuing those picks right now because he's given up a first this year and a third this year, and he's given up a first next year as well. So he's really worried about his draft pick situation, and he doesn't want to be down too many picks. Stay humble, fam. It's going to be a game. I agree, Jacob. I agree. Splash and Skills says, I legit hate this team for games like this. I understand where you're coming from, man. It's a love-hate sometimes, isn't it? Kusky says, I drank a fifth of whiskey. My bad. If there's a game that's going to make you drink a fifth of whiskey, this is the game to do it. This is the one to do it. No doubt about it. Jacob DLG, they rely on Wilson way too much to win games. It's going to be a long road ahead for you guys. I agree. It's my biggest problem. It was my problem going this offseason. It remains my problem. I've repeated on every live stream I've done since last offseason. We need to get him more help. They've done good with the offensive line. They've done good with the receivers. But the defensive side of the ball has just fallen off a cliff. Fluffy Panda 20 is a Cardinal. I need my respect. I've been giving props, man. Luis Gonzalez, how you doing? Says go Cardinals. Ballas Walrus. Shout out Randy White, master one of the meanest defensive players of all time. He was. That guy's a butt kicker. Luis Gonzalez, Chandler Jones needs to come back already. Yeah, you lost him for the year, and that's a brutal injury because if not for Chandler Jones, if you guys still have him back here, you guys are right there still in contention here. You're right there in contention with every other team in the NFC at that point. But the loss of him, even bringing in Marcus Golden as you guys did this last week, it's too far of a drop-off. This defense needs Chandler Jones in it. Jaden says Ken Norton needs to go. He's sus. He is sus. I agree. He does need to go. Murray going to make Russ cook the rest of his career. He's a good player. He is. He is. I'll be interested to see how it'd be if we have a little bit better defensive talent and a bit better defensive coordinator over there if it changes anything up. But could be right. Maybe just shootouts for all time as we go forward. Brian McAdams, you have to be confident to live in the NFL, Shane. Beans says, do you think that Jamal Adams will help the defense in the next few weeks? Yeah, I think he will help him, Beans. Is he going to be enough on his own? Is Snacks and him going to be enough on their own? I don't think so. I think you will need more than that. But it will help. There's undoubtedly, it absolutely is that they will help. Luis Gonzalez says, thank you, Kyler and Larry and Baker and Kirks and Christian Kirk. Those guys did good for you, man. Elena says, I think Clowney's injured. He might be. He does get beat up a lot. But part of that, I'd argue with JD if I was talking to him. I'd say, you need to get into training camp, man. I know you don't like training camp, but it gets your body ready. When you just come in off the street like that, you're setting yourself up for these kind of injuries. Washington football team safety Landon Collins reportedly has a torn Achilles. Oof, brutal for the kid. He's a pretty good player. Koski says Baker has an awesome come-from-behind win. He does. Brian McAdams, why did Arizona try to kick a field goal on third down? Was it third down? I thought it was fourth down, Brian, that they were kicking that field goal. Flag says Clowney signed with the Titans for less than we had originally offered him. Yeah, it's all a process in how it's playing out, Flag. So initially what happened in that situation is the season starts and Seattle offers him a 4-year deal. He thinks he's going to be getting in the $25 million range, right around where, like a Joey Bosa gets. Got like, I think, $27.5 million. I think Clowney probably thought, well, if that guy's getting $27.5, then I should at least get 20. That should at least be my market. And it should be a multi-year deal. It shouldn't be a 1-year deal. And I think he came down to the conclusion that if this is going to be a 1-year deal at the end of the day, I ain't coming into the back end of this thing. I'm not doing training camp. I'm not going through all those bells and whistles and hoops. And then it just came down to it. Seattle had spent their money by that point, and they didn't want to go to where Tennessee went. He probably didn't play it correctly from the way that he operated this offseason and how he could have played the situation, but Seattle also could have come up in the price. Brian says that's playing scared, especially against Seattle's defense. Yeah, Seattle's defense was playing scared. Absolutely played scared through a lot of this game. Koski Company with a $5 donation. I appreciate it, man. Thank you so much for that dono. So much for that dono. Appreciate it. You guys are so kind. B-Ross says it could be worse, y'all. We could be Cowboys fans. Yeah, it's brutal for the Cowboys fans, the position they're in right now. Really tough for them. Really tough. I still appreciate what I got. I'm still happy I got Russell. I'm still happy this team's in first place. I'm not too down. Jaden, thank you for subscribing. I really do appreciate it. If you are new into the channel, please do subscribe. Hit the like button, notification bell. I do these through my Streamlabs. It doesn't always show you the notification bell because it's not directly through the YouTube platform, but it doesn't cost you guys anything. It's free. It helps this channel out immensely. PJ Nation, you got Niners up next. We do. It doesn't get any easier, PJ. It's just going to be tough week after week for about the next 5 weeks. It's going to be one tough one after another. One after another. One after another. Blake Kent, do you think you should have won? I think we had the opportunity to win. I think if we made certain choices at spots and did certain things differently, we should have won. But I think the Cardinals won that game. I don't think we lost it. I think the Cardinals won it. Did you guys think this game was over early? No, I don't think any game that our Seahawks get up by any amount of points is over early. I've learned too much that we're always going to let the teams back into the game. Just the way we roll. Flag Sabbath says, dude, DK was there anyway. We could have picked him up with one of our picks. No guarantee of that, Flag. No guarantee of that. For all we know, John Schneider was fully well aware that DK was going off the board within the next couple picks, which is why he traded up into the back of the second round to get DK. Remember that. It wasn't that they were sitting there just picked DK. They traded back up in to get DK. So it's a thing neither of us really know for sure here, admittedly. Okay, neither of us do know that for sure, but I would reckon to argue that no, you would have lost out on DK had you not have traded Frank Clark. Clowney was weird in making too long a decision in what he was doing, and he misjudged the market, and he didn't take the money he should have taken at the time he should have taken it. It was odd. It's odd. Sometimes players misplay negotiations. Sometimes agents misplay negotiations, and that's what happened there. Salty Tears, hard-fought game. How do you feel about the Card chances going forward? Card fans here, so I'm hyped, but I want your outside perspective. I like the Cards team. I like Kyler Murray. You guys won this game. My issue, Salty, and maybe I'm off on this. Maybe Cardinal fans can tell me I'm crazy here, but I think the Chandler Jones, if there was one player on that defense that you couldn't lose, I think you could lose a Budda Baker, but if you still have Chandler Jones, you guys are dancing. Losing Chandler Jones for the year is a little bit of a death knell for that defense to a tiny degree to me. Maybe I'm off on this. Maybe I'm off. I still think this is a playoff team. I still think you guys are a 10-win team this year at least. But I think that ends up being, over the course of a long season, the thing that ends up costing you a couple games, as you saw in this game where you guys at times struggled for pass rush. Not every team are you going to be able to confuse with the blitzes like you did with us. You know, you had Russell by the end of the late third quarter and on, not able to really understand what you guys were doing in the blitz game. And that sometimes can be something as part of Russell's game that he struggles in. Other quarterbacks are much smarter in it and picking up and reading those kind of things, knowing where to go with the hot route. Their offensive coordinators will be smarter about running the screen game and bubble screen game a little bit more. But I like your team. I like where you guys are going. It was a hard-fought game, and I think you guys have a lot of upside as we go forward. You guys just need this offseason to get another bookend pass rusher along, in my opinion, with what you have in Chandler Jones. Court R. Johnson, I love Seattle skyline, but the Cardinal Nation, rise up, Red Sea. Props to you Cardinal fans. You guys had a good day. You're showing up, too. True fans, man. What's up, by the way, Court Johnson and Salty Tears? Welcome on in the chat. I love having you guys, new people on in here. Court R. Johnson says, but Kyler's the Super Bowl MVP. You got him going to the Super Bowl? Man, that'd be amazing if Kyler could do that with this Cardinal team. That would be amazing if he did. Den says, Wilson literally threw it straight to the Cards. Yeah, he did. He did. No doubt about it. A couple of those throws were, like I said, they're kind of inexcusable throws. They really are, and he's got to cut those out. He's had another one of those in this league. He sometimes has those throws where it's like, dude, you're so careful with the ball every other throw. Why just throw it up like that? The soft throw to Carson in the flat, down by the goal line. You know everything's condensed and squished in there. Odd. MovieCon says Seahawks 12-4. Well, I still got him at 13-3, 14-2 even potentially. We're 5-1. Lots of gloom and doom, says Flag Sabbath. Ridiculous. We're still a good team. We are a good team, Flag. And again, it comes down to what's your expectations when you look through the lens of the season so far and when you look through the lens of what you want the season to be. There's those contingent of Seahawks fans who are perfectly happy going to the playoffs every year, maybe winning one playoff game and then going home. And they go, successful season, I'm happy. There are those fans, and I'm not going to deride them. I understand that there's a lot of teams in this league that don't win, a lot of teams that are basement cellar dwellers who would, give up a finger to get in the playoffs every year. But for me as a fan, that's watched this team recently, knowing what we have in Russell Wilson, knowing the talent that they've assembled on this football team, to me at this point, when we arrive here, it's Super Bowl or bust. I'm not going to be happy with another one and done type year. We've watched that over and over. I've watched that movie play out for the last 5 years in a row. I'm done watching that movie play out. I'm done. And again, and just to go back to it, Flag, your defense is given more yards up in the air right now than on pace to break the NFL record for most yardage in an NFL season than anyone else in NFL history. Not division winning teams in NFL history, not playoff teams in NFL history, all the crap teams in the world in NFL history, and you're going to beat all of them in this category. That's a concerning stat. And if it doesn't have you worried, I might argue there's some rose-colored glasses being worn a little bit there. Cordar Johnson, Isaiah Simmons, great pick. Loved the pick when you made it at the time. Still love the pick now. Think he'll be a very good player for you guys. Austin Westover, how you doing? And D-Mac, hello. Austin Westover, I see the division playing out like this. I do see Seattle winning the division. I still think that the Rams at the end of the day are going to get into that number 2 slot, but it's going to be them in a dogfight with the Cardinals. And I could change my mind overnight on this with the Cardinals playing as well as they did in this game. But I think I'm going to still go with the Rams in the number 2, Cardinals 3, 49ers 4. But Cardinal fans, it's no detriment to call you the third seed at this point because you guys still could end up being 10, 11 wins as a third place team. Jose Rodriguez, Randy Gregory, or Watt? Who do you want? Either or, probably go with Watt because I like the ability to move him around on the defensive line. He'll have a little bit more versatility, but I'd be okay with either of them. Dwight Pittman, Russell Wilson, man. He's still the man, and I'm a Cards fan. He's a great quarterback. We love having him, man. It's the big thing with why I'm upset about this team where it's sitting right now is that we sit in the middle of his prime, Dwight. You know, you right now with Kyler, you're not in his prime. He's learning the game. He's developing as a quarterback. He's coming along. You know, he's not up to where his top end's going to be, which is probably 2, 3, 4 years from now. And then he gets into his prime, and then he's in the beginning of his prime, then he's in the middle of his prime. Then he's right in the window of his prime. Then he gets to the end of his prime. Right now, we're right in the middle of Russell Wilson's prime, smack dab in the middle of it. But he's heading to the back end of it here shortly. And if we don't take advantage of that, if we don't win now, it's going to be harder to win the Super Bowl moving forward, especially in this division, especially with the talent that's assembled in this division. That's the part that has me banging this drum so hard. Salty Tears says, love you guys. Maybe you'll hand us a loss next time. I hope not as a Card fan, but love you either way. We love you too, man. And it's a great little rivalry we got going. It makes football games funner to watch. Ben says, as a Ravens fan, I wish the best for the Hawks. I wish the best for you too, man. Love the trade you guys made with Yannick and Ngakoue, and we could end up seeing each other in the end of the day. You never know. It'd be a hell of a Super Bowl. You got to admit that. Jaden says, can't win a Super Bowl without a defense. Defense wins championships. Can't depend on Russ all the time. I agree. I don't know if we're any longer in the place of defenses win championships. I don't know if that mantra is still true. I think you have to have some semblance of a defense to win a championship, but I don't know if they in themselves win championships as used to be the case back in the day. Movie Con says, rebuild defense. Yeah, we're going to have to do some rebuilding big time. Court R. Johnson says, who plays in the NFC Championship game? Court, I'm going to be a homer here. Can't blame me on this. I'm just going to be a homer, and that's the way this plays out. I'm going to go with the NFC Championship game of... I'm going to do this. I'm just going to say I'm going to go with... I think it's going to be the Packers and Seattle. And I don't know who I'd predict on that one. How do you like that one? How do you like that for sitting on a fence? Elena, Cardinal fans are so much classier than Niner fans. Yes, there's no doubt about that. I can see that in this chat alone. You guys are way classier than what we sometimes deal with Niner fans in the chat here. It gets dirty sometimes with them. Shane Hafner, Shell had penalties just like a Fetty. Lame. Yeah, that was the one thing you hoped out with him when you got him was I thought that he'd play at a very similar level to what a Fetty played at, maybe even a little marginally better, but the one hope was at the very least, I know we had frozen here for a sec. I think we got back. That at least he would give you no more penalties, no more holding calls, no more false starts. You know the snap count. There's no reason for you to false start, but that seemed like too much to ask for, I guess. Doesn't get tired. I get tired. Who are the talented teams? The most talented teams in the NFL right now, Baltimore would be in there, Kansas City would be in there. I still think Tennessee's in that realm, along with the Steelers, Tampa Bay, Packers. I guess we might sneak into there maybe. The Falcons just blow leads but have a very good offense, and the Cowboys have a good roster as well, and the Patriots are good to great coaching staff and players on defense. Yeah. I mean, I think you're referencing to the teams we played so far. They've been all right teams we played, but we haven't had the toughest schedule so far like some other teams in the league. We have been able to feast a little bit on the lesser runs. Koski Company, is Russ going to cook next week? I'd expect him to. I would. I expect him to cook every week, though. I don't know if the Vikings are a good team. I think by the time we played them, they had some injuries, and they were kind of we made them look a little bit better than even they were. And, yeah, we knocked them out and kind of finished them off. But, Koski Company says Jets at Giants. Who wins? I'll take the Giants. I think the Giants are showing signs of life this year of coming around as an organization. I don't get tired, D-Mac. I roll all night, baby. All night, baby. Den says we should just sign a free agent pass rush on the practice squad and see if he can help us out or not. Whatever they do, whatever it takes at this point, whatever you can find. Daniel Peterson says Cards are the best team in the NFC. I don't know. I don't know if I'm there on that. It's a good win, but I don't know if I'm ready to go there. Anthony Abib, if the Seahawks team had the 2018 defense where we went 10-6, do you think we would win the Super Bowl? Probably, because that was a middle-of-the-road squad. And I'm saying that's kind of what I'm saying is that if they are able to get to a middle-of-the-road state, that they'd be able to win the Super Bowl. But that's a big jump at this point. Trade Shaq for someone, J.J. Watt. Yeah, I think I'd be open to it, and it'd be a good creative way of maybe bringing in a talented pass rusher at this point, where you trade Shaq out, and there's a team out there willing to put him on a contract extension, so they're willing to let go a good pass rusher at that point to build into what they want to do with their scheme. I'm open to it. Whatever creative way you've got to do to make this work. M. Webb says we have to find more ways to get DK the ball. The last 2 times he's got those quick throws to the sidelines, he's almost housed it. He's too good to get the ball one time a game. I blame Shoddy. I agree. You've got to find ways to scheme this guy the ball at times. And the one they did a little short crosser on that first catch, took it for 17 on a nice little running catch, and then nothing else. You know, he's targeted a couple times, but they just kind of completely left him alone. It was weird. Dylan Bronco says, I honestly can't see J.J. Watt. He's expensive. You can, as we've seen in these trades now, Dylan, we just saw with the Yannick and Ngakoue trade, where the Vikings are going to pay some of his franchise tag this year, and the Ravens are only on the hook for $3 million of that franchise tag. So you can have offsets here. You can have them pay up the money. We saw this last year with Clowney, where half of his franchise tag was paid by the Texans. You can do the same thing. Money's not the problem here. Bar Kong, the last TD by Metcalf won me the game, but then, well, you know what happened. Yeah, it's tough, Bar Kong. It was a good call, though. It was holding. It was holding. Dylan Bronco in Seattle doesn't seem like they want to spend that much. Maybe not. Salty Tears, absolutely love Russ. He's one of the favorite stand-up players in the league. Just great overall. Oh, and shout out to the legend. Larry Fitzgerald is the man. Lockett looking good for you guys. Lockett looking great. He's been just money since he's arrived on the scene here. And yeah, let's give a props out to Larry Fitzgerald. I think he crossed, 14,000 yards receiving in this game or something, 1,400 catches, some weird thing like that. Man's had an amazing career, amazing longevity, reinvented himself as the slot receiver guy who could also do the bubble screen game great. Early on in his career, that was the knock on him, or where coaches really wanted him to improve, was the run after the catch. He was a guy that would get open and make the catch, but then kind of fall down. And they started to really harp on him to be better after the catch, and he really worked on that to become that kind of guy later on in his career here. Nothing but love for him either, man. Fantastic player. Jaden, what happened to Daryl Taylor? Daryl Taylor evidently had a rod put into his leg because he was playing with a broken leg last year, so he had a rod put into it early in the offseason. I can only guess that the coaching staff and the medical staff thought that he would be coming back a lot earlier than he has, because this has taken a lot longer than they seemed to would have thought. I would not think that they would have given up a third-round pick to trade up into the second round to take a guy like this who wasn't due to give you any production this season, really. It's been a bit of an oddity. But that would be my, I don't know. Matthew Larkin. Hello, Matthew. Den Itchin says we should trade a fifth in Kyle Fuller to the Bengals for Carlos Dunlap. Kyle Fuller. Helmy Sethi says, why are we so ineffective when blitzing? Is it just a schematic problem? I think you could see it when you just look to the other side of the field or look to what the Vikings did last week. Blitzing is not just simply sending a bunch of guys at the quarterback. Blitzing is a lot of other things other than that. It's timing. They did a good job in the telecast of showing a guy like Budda Baker who would show up as sort of in the box safety, but showing back where he's in a coverage role and then slowly making his way to the line of scrimmage to time it up at the snap to where Russell wouldn't know necessarily when he's coming. That's called disguising. Our guys don't disguise blitzes when they come. When they blitz, they're always showing they're blitzing, which then makes it very easy for the quarterback to adjust the protections and get everybody blocked up. Seattle, as Chris Sims has said, is the king of the five-man blitz. So within the 5-man blitz, what you're doing is you're sending 5 guys now, but the offensive line always has 5 guys naturally. So what you're now doing is getting everybody singled up. And the hope when you do that is that you're able to isolate your best pass rusher to then let him work one-on-one. The problem is that Seattle doesn't have a best pass rusher. So the 5-man blitz ends up just taking one more guy out of pass coverage, leaving one more hole open in the zone. You don't get home. So the lack of being able to disguise your blitzes, the lack of being able to be exotic in your blitzes, sending guys on delayed blitzes, let's say, you never see that. We're either always coming or we're not coming. We're coming right at the snap or we're not coming at all. Those kind of things, that's why we're not good at blitzing. And that's why a team like the Cardinals, it's in the scheme, it's embedded in the DNA of their scheme to blitz. So they do it very well. It also comes back to going after people that in draft and how you pick people in free agency that are also good blitzers, i.e., trading for a guy like Jamal Adams, who's a fantastic blitzer. You also got to look for that, and that's not been a place that they've looked for very often because they've always built the scheme to have the front 4 guys create the pressure. They just don't have the talent on the front 4 to do that right now. Matthew Larkin says we can't lose Budda Baker. He's so important, and we are so much worse without him. I agree. He's a difference maker for you guys on that side of the football field. What's up, Chadson McGraw? How you doing? Junior, 2-0 in the division. Go Cards. You guys played well, man. Played well. Brian McAdams, I screamed at the TV when the Cards drafted Isabella instead of Metcalf. Well done, Seattle, for getting him. He's a stud. Yeah, I'm very happy we got ourselves Metcalf. I'm very happy we got Metcalf. Elaine, I'd rather see Cards win the division than the Niners or Rams. I agree 100%. Daniel Peterson says, love Cardinals, but much love for the Seahawks. Same. Love to you guys, man. Love all around. Shane Hafner says we had an atrocious first half versus Minnesota, but we had an awesome first half versus AZ. We're so inconsistent. Yeah, we made great adjustments after the half against the Vikings and then didn't in this game. Bar Kong, I damn near had a heart attack when Russ overthrew Metcalf in the end zone for a pick. I did too. I was so annoyed by that play. That was such a bad interception. I will be happy when Fitz does retire because he's been a Seahawks killer. Him and Chandler Jones were the 2 guys you had on your team that just absolutely destroy us every time we play. Flag Sabbath says the Clowney lazy man. That's what a lot of people have reported. Maybe. Maybe. I sure would like to have him on the team right now. I sure would like to have him on the team versus what we got right now. I'm just saying. Anthony D, how about that flag for holding on you guys? Legitimate, Anthony D. Yeah, he got his hands on the pads and pulled it up. That's a holding flag, and it's on the guy that would have made the tackle potentially on DK Metcalf on the bubble screen. Can't argue with it. It's legitimate. Monta Tracy says we should get Earl Thomas. Maybe. I don't know what you would do with that. I don't know how you would roll that around at that point because Jamal Adams is coming back to the strong safety role. Do we feel like Quandre Diggs is the problem back there at free safety? I don't. And to me, it's more of an issue of your cornerback play than anything else. But I don't know. Maybe they will. Jovan, oh man, I was so fired up how he played the first half, especially the DK cackle. What happened at the end of the fourth quarter in OT, I really don't know. Our defense just completely lost it. They were gassed. They had no answers from schematic adjustments. They couldn't find a blitz or anything to make Kyler uncomfortable. Cardinals were kind of able to just move the ball at will near the end. And offensively on the other side of the ball, Russell got confused by the blitzes. We didn't have answers schematically. You see a common theme here. And things just kind of fell apart, both sides of the ball. Dave Widger, very disappointed to lose that. Kyler Murray played well, but too many key penalties and defense can't stop anyone. Russell under too much pressure, needs some trades to ASAP to upgrade. Trey Flowers is done. Well, welcome on the chat, Dave Widger. And yeah, I agree with every single one of your points 100% down the line. Things I've been saying throughout this live stream show throughout. It's very disappointing. Certainly Murray played good. Certainly the Cardinals won this game. But you look at the penalties. You look at the pressure at the end with Russell and not making adjustments there. Short passing game, maybe a screen, something like that. They need to do some work. We need to do some work. It's not an overreaction to say we need to make some trades. Anthony says Kenyon Drake getting injured might have helped out the Cardinals when Chase Edmonds got in. a lot bigger plays by Chase. Thanks for mentioning that, Anthony. I was going to say the same thing. Every time I watch the Cardinals, Chase Edmonds seems like the better running back of the two. Seems like he runs more stronger. He's harder to bring down. Kenyon seems like maybe the big play guy waiting to happen, but to my eyes, Chase is the better running back. No, he won't change. He was already there. I had a friend that saw him degrading a homeless man in Bothell one time. That guy was a prick. Oh, wow. Jeez. Daniel Peterson says, just join this chat. What a great show. Go Cards. What do you think of Budda Baker? Daniel, the big problem with us with Budda Baker here is we're just so angry because we wanted him so badly. Obviously, there's a lot of us that are University of Washington fans here over in Western Washington, and Budda Baker was a fantastic safety for that team. Part of the team that helped them get in the playoffs when they were going up against Alabama in that one game. I think he had a dropped interception that could have really swung it. We knew we were going to need some help. We were with Cam at the time. He was going to be getting a little longer in the tooth. Maybe you could bring him in, have him play some slot corner for you, move him around, let him be a puzzle piece. But we ended up passing on him for Malik McDowell. And it sucks because now you get to watch him as this player, and you got a player like that. You don't have to make the Jamal Adams trade. But as a player for you guys, he's an absolute perfect piece. He's just a lot like Jamal Adams and that blitzing safety type guy that's just so hard to block. He comes from every different angle. He can disguise his blitzes. He's also very good in coverage, a heady player. And he seems to be coming along in that aspect. That seems to be getting a better part of his game than it was over the first couple of years of his career. All over the football field. He's just a fantastic football player, man. Just a fantastic football player. You don't have to find it's nice. One of those guys that's like, don't worry about the position he plays. You just worry about him. Just get him on the football field and let him run. Anthony D says, scheme is going to beat the Seahawks every time. Rams are beating the Seahawks. You can't rely on Wilson so heavily to make crazy plays. Agree, man. Agree. Night Killer 92, hello from a Panthers fan. Welcome, Night Killer. Thanks for hopping in. You guys almost pulled that one off this week against New Orleans. You'd be dancing back in that division. You got a decent team over there. Well, welcome on the chat. I think I've lost all my mods, Jose. You might have to run this rough shot. I have to run this raw dog, buddy. Shane Hafner, DK really is a freak and a specimen. OBJ tried making a tackle and jacked his knee up. Looks like OBJ might be out with his knee injury. We own DK the W night. Yeah, we did, man. That going back and making the tackle was huge on him. But welcome in, Night Killer. Austin Williams, how you doing? What happened to Russ throws 3 interceptions? I don't know on those interceptions what he was thinking, Austin Williams. The one to Carson's a throwaway all day long. If he's being blitzed and he's under pressure, you can't softly throw that all out there. If you can't put the ball on, you can't put the mustard on the throw, then throw it over, out, and away. On the throw to DK, I think that wasn't even a third down play. There was no need to throw that kind of throw. Take the field goal at that point. Take the points. Kind of all 3 of the interceptions were inexcusable. And by the third one, it just seemed like they just didn't know what to do with the Cardinal blitzes. They had no answers in pass protection. Russ knew he was going to be under pressure in 2.5 seconds and just threw it up for grabs, I guess, at that point. Odd interceptions when they happen, especially considering how well he played in the other parts of the game, how well he threw the ball in the other parts of the game. Anthony D says, are you regretting giving away all those picks for Jamal? Need a lot on defense. No, I'm not, Anthony, because I think he upgraded our defense when he's in there. I just think we needed more help in addition to Jamal. I think that the Jamal thing was fine. It's just that you needed to address the Leo position. And if you're Cardinal fans, in our defense, we have what's called the Leo. This is the right defensive end. And so you have your other players lined up in their traditional, what you normally see from a 4-3 defense, where they're lined up. The one tech's in his proper place, lined up between usually the center and the right guard, and the 3 techs over the top of the left guard, and et cetera, et cetera. Well, the defensive end in our scheme lines up in the Leo on the right side as a sort of a wide 9 defensive end. So he's allowed to really operate out there in space, but you've got to get a player out there. You need a guy with some length and explosiveness, essentially like what Jadeveon Clowney is as a player. That's what you need. Seattle ignored that position through the whole offseason. So I don't know why they couldn't have addressed that and made the trade in addition to that. There were guys like Everson Griffin out there on the market they could have grabbed that they ignored. They ignored Jadeveon Clowney. They ignored going in other directions. That's the head-scratcher thing for me. XX Sonic, how much more of a difference would Clowney make on this team? Would you trade for him again? Yeah, I would. I still think that, again, he's the perfect Leo fit that I was just talking about for this defense. Is he going to get us 9, 10, 15 sacks a game? No. But he's going to be one of the best edge-stuffing run defenders in the league, first off, and he's going to get some consistent pass rush for us, which is something we're not getting right now. I've watched some of the Tennessee games. This whole like narrative, the narratives are such a funny thing to me. People want to get something stuck in their head, so they stayed with it. And this narrative this year that Clowney, because he doesn't have any sacks, isn't doing anything for Tennessee, i.e. it's good that Seattle didn't sign him. This is a wrong approach to take. Watch the games with him in Tennessee. He's creating pressure. I think he had a tough game last week. I don't know about this game today, but he had one tough game last week. The previous games, he's been back there generating pass rush. So I think he would have made a difference here. I do. Gabriel Aldrete, is this the game the Cardinals turn the tide as far as losing at home against the Seahawks? I don't know. I don't know, Gabriel, on that. I think something that used to help us out in these games and playing in the Cardinals, it seemed like our fans filled up a lot of the stadium there at times, where it almost felt like a home game with the crowd noise at times. You had didn't have as many fans in the stadium this time, so maybe that made a little bit more of a difference than it will make going into the future. But I think when you've got a guy like Kyler Murray, a legitimate quarterback now there under center, that's more of the indicator of what's going to allow the Cardinals to be more successful as we go forward. Once you get your quarterback, you're in a lot better position. Brian McAdams, I was wrong. The first OT AZ field goal was 2nd down and 15, not 3rd down. They trusted the kicker and almost got burned. Should have pressed the Seattle defense more. A 41-yard field goal is anything but given. Yeah, I think on the previous play too, though, Brian, they just lost 3 or 4 yards, and the coach didn't want to maybe risk losing more yards going backwards. But I understand where you're coming from by making it take the game down to where it's the field goal or nothing, and then it's a tied game. I understand completely where you're coming from on that. Austin Williams, I had you guys 11-5 to start the season. I had us at 12-4, 11-5, so I was in the same place. I did think that this pass rush was going to be a problem for us. I did. I thought this was going to be something that went down. Flag Sabbath, he brought in Bruce Irvin and gave him a 30% pay raise. Then he brought in Benson Mayowa, and that's how he fixed the pass rush. That's not going to fly. Then he traded away our future for one player. Yeah, and not only is that not a fixed 2 flag, it's also an understanding you lost your top 3 best pass rushers in the offseason. Clowney, Quinn Jefferson, Al Woods, out the door. Those 2 guys you brought in weren't even enough to supplement what you lost, much less upgrade a position that was horrible, a pass rush that was awful last year. Shane Hafter says, on the first completion Russ made tonight, he became the Seahawks quarterback with the most completions in franchise history. Yep, prop to Russ. I'm sure he's going to own that record for a very long time. I know what you meant, Flag. Don't worry. Urban. It's all the same. Austin Williams, that boy Kyler Murray is a problem for the Seahawks. He is. I think he's going to be a problem for a lot of teams. Elena says, yeah, but if Mayowa didn't jump over the line on the field goal kick, we get the ball back instead of scoring a TD. That was a mistake, too. It was. It's just some stupid penalties at the end. No doubt about it. I can more forgive the David Moore one because it's 3rd down. You're trying to get the first down in the bubble, and he's just trying to make a good block. But the offsides one is that's a lot more tougher one to swallow. Den Dunn says, I hope when I wake up tomorrow, my Bleacher Report says Ken Norton fired. We got a lot of that in the chat today, man. A lot of that. Flag Sabbath says, don't be surprised if Russell Wilson walks after his contract is up. It would be understandable. Splash and Skills says, do the Seahawks, Cards, and Rams team up in a rebellion in terms of fan base to fight the Niners? We all meet out in the middle of the field with pitchforks and go at it. Jovan, but if we after this L make some big changes to our play defense, I think what Jovan's saying is if this game and if the deficiencies shown are the precursor to causing us to go out and make some moves and go and be aggressive, then this was a worthwhile loss. I can go with that, Jovan. I can go with that silver lining if that turns out to be the case. Gilly Vibe says, can the Seahawks beat the 49ers? We can beat them, but it's going to be a close game, and it's probably going to be a shootout. Ryan Collum, what's up, Ryan? Shout out to Tyler tonight. Talk about fantasy points. His post-game conference was so positive and helped my mind state after that heart attack of a game. Lockett and Metcalf is the duo Russ needs. They are. They're a fantastic duo, the perfect complement to each other as a duo and the type of routes that they can run. And those guys are just fantastic. And Lockett played his best game as a pro. He was great. Not saying something when he had a couple of drops, but he was money when he had to be. He ran some great routes. The initial deep ball with trying to fight off Patrick Peterson, trying to fight through a kind of defensive pick where he gets bumped by a defensive player, and then makes a one-handed catch. Absolutely amazing. Shane says, the fact that you can see Kyler smiling when he saw D-Hop had single coverage and tossed it to him for a sideline TD bothers me. Such a cocky little guy. He'll be humbled this season. Well, maybe. I mean, he's playing pretty well so far. Splash and skills. Should we sign Clay Matthews? Yeah, we should. We should, because it doesn't cost you any draft capital, and the guy gives you a good pass rush win rate. He's going to be better than what you have on the roster right now. Go and do it. Sylvia Paz, good game, Seahawks. Good game to you guys, too, Sylvia Paz. Thanks for hopping in the chat. Dave Widger says, bring in Dan Quinn to help coach the defense. Can't do any worse than Norton. I think you'd have to fully fire Norton if you brought him in. I don't think you could bring him in as a consultant type. That put too much of Norton with his head on a swivel. So I think you'd have to go on full on fire him if you did. But could be what we end up seeing here. Could be what we end up seeing. Anthony D, at the end of the game, I would have had to say this was a game of the year. Reminded me of the Chiefs or the Rams game 2 years ago. Maybe. I mean, we've been in a couple of these, Anthony. The Vikings game a couple weeks ago was pretty crazy on the fourth down touchdown throw, the fourth down stop against the Cam Newton at the Patriots. But this one's right there, probably. It's probably right there. Revenant Lion, Arizona is in the house. What's up, Revenant Lion? Got a lot of Cardinal fans in this chat. Most Cardinal fans I've had in the chat ever, I think. This is live right now, Rip. I'm just a little bit behind in my chat because I try to respond to everybody. But welcome, Rip, Revenant Lion, all the new faces. Please do hit that like button and subscribe, man. Doesn't cost you a thing. It's free. Revenant Lion, I hate you, but I love that we are rivals. I agree, Revenant. That's what a good rivalry is built on, man. There's a little bit of hate, a little bit of love, a little bit of a damn why we got to always play this team. They're such a pain in the ass, God. So I know what you feel, man. DE Gaming, great game. It was a great game. Very entertaining one to watch, fun to watch, heartbreaker. I'm sure Cardinal fans are celebrating tonight, having themselves some shots, but it was a great game. This is definitely live, Rip. We are live. Anthony D, wish we had a Cardinals version of you. Great live stream. I'm sure you guys will at some point, Anthony D. You know, as you guys get better and improve, it's going to make people more want to do it. It's hard if you've had a couple losing seasons, you're just hanging in there. But I'm sure you guys will. Something will come along and do it. I love doing this. This is so much fun for me to interact with you guys. And I like it even with, I especially love having other team fans come in here. I like talking shop with you guys because we get different perspective and views on stuff, you know, even if we disagree, which I think we're all in actually a lot of agreement tonight. Shane Hafner, kind of sucks that we just picked up Kendricks a few days ago. I think he could have made a difference today with the blitz. They blitzed him a lot last year, that's for sure. So he could have made that bit. They were, I don't know though for sure on that because they weren't so much spread, the Cardinals were, and that's going to put you in nickel or dime more often than not. And of course, Kendricks would have been your base linebacker on early downs at that point. So I don't know if you would have saw him very much either on that. Rip with the $2 donation, and we are live, man. Thank you for that donation, and welcome on into the chat. He says, what time is it where you're live? Well, I'm live over in Maui. I just moved over here to Maui, so it is 10:30 over here for me. I'm a little bit earlier than you guys over there on the mainland. It's kind of nice. Everything happens real early over here, only except for the 10 a.m. games. I have to get up at 7 in the morning to go look at 10 a.m. games. That tends to be a little bit too much for me. But thank you, Rip. Thank you so much for that donation. I salute you, sir. Yovan, I really don't like that feel when we lose the game, but at the end of the day, we still have a great start to the season. 5-1 record is a nice record. Our special team played very good. Myers is still perfect. Yep, we've got a lot of silver linings to go from this, Yovan. It's not the end of the world. There's a long season still that remains ahead. There's still some moves that can be made. We got reinforcements coming back into the ranks. So it's tough. We got to take our medicine tonight. Got to take our medicine. Butt cheeks are going to be a little red. You know, a couple welts in there. That's all right. Helmi Sethi says, I hate the holding by David Moore, but I don't get it. Why are we not running the screens more often? DK gets so many yards on it with his speed and strength. I don't know. Any kind of screen, and not just the bubble screen, Sethi, but also just traditional screens. Russ takes the ball, starts falling back. Defensive line claps in on him. Offensive line leaks out. Throw a little screen. Outside of the Falcons game in the first game of the year, they've not gone back to it. And I don't know, other than to say that they sometimes fall a little bit too much in love with the deep ball and hitting the deep shots. Shots. It's a little bit too much leaning on that, not enough leaning on just some of the patient stuff. Matriculating the ball up the football field, And so that's more of what I would go to with it. And I hate the holding call too, but the call was legit. It was a legitimate holding call. Junior, Jovan, the hardest team you have beaten is the Dolphins, who are 500. You can only play the schedule that you have to play, Junior, and the schedule doesn't get that much harder for us as we go through the rest of the year outside of our division. Rip says, if only to Jesus, Lord King, OGO, all kingdom, if only David didn't hold, we could have won. Yeah, it may be. The thing is, if he didn't hold, that guy might have gotten off his block and tackled DK, and then you're in fourth down. But DK might have also brute forced through it and gotten the first. Hard to say. This division is just crazy. December football is going to be crazy this year. You're right. I can't believe that we have to be in a division where all four teams are going to go get to the playoffs, most likely than not. It makes me shake my head that it's got to be this hard to get to the division title. But it is what it is, and the rest of the schedule at least is nice and weak, as someone else, Junior just pointed out. So I can't complain too much. Junior says, go Cards. This guy doesn't read my comments. Understandable. Laughing out loud. I'm just behind on the comments, Junior. I got to read everybody, so I get behind, man. I try to read them, though. I don't think I missed anything else that you put in there, and if I didn't, I'm sorry. Austin Williams, I will be honest. I had the Seahawks sweep the division other than the Niners. I saw 2 losses, Austin. I did see 2 losses. I didn't predict where those losses were going to come from, but it was really hard with the talent in this division, with as good as these teams are, to predict them going 6-0. It's just too good of a division to have that happen. And the teams, it's always so close anyway, the games. Junior says, this guy is salty. I am salty. I am very salty. Because since the end game last year, Junior, you can go see my stream last year when we lost the Packers. I said, we've got to fix this defensive line. We've got to fix this pass rush. And then they proceeded to not do any of that for now going on like 16 months. So yeah, I am a little bit salty. Red Sea Cards, great game, man. Great game tonight. I agree, Red Sea Cards. It was a great game. Just an entertaining game. You guys played really well. You came back. You won the game. Props to you. Tip of the cap to you. No excuses made. None given. Anthony D says, I couldn't imagine being a Seahawks fan. Dealing with these crazy games that you guys have been recently dealing with would kill me. Anthony, it's you both enjoy it. You do enjoy it and go, well, this is an unusual feeling. This is unusual. But then there's a part of you that goes, I don't know if I like this. I don't know. You start looking for a safe word, But it seems like every week this is what we have to play. This is just every week, And I'm getting older, man. How many more years I'm going to be that age pretty soon where I'm going to literally be going like, I can't watch these games like this. I got to worry about my heart. Or I got to know what the score is before I watch the game so I don't go through the emotional. I mean, God bless. I was over at my mom's house watching with some friends, and over there and just like, I'm just swearing and cussing like I said. It was, you go dark, man. But they are entertaining. It is that. Brian, thanks for your honest and truthful feedback. Great show. You deserve massive props. Enjoy your Super Bowl run. Going to be fun the rest of the way. Hope my Cards can hang with you guys going forward. Well, it's funner when you guys are better with us and you guys are rival and good. And thank you, man. I appreciate the kind comments. You Cardinal fans have been awesome and amazing in this chat tonight. I truly awesome. I know you guys are winning and in a good mood, but we've had problems with trolls in the past. Tonight, you guys have just been sweet. And again, you guys got a good team. You're on the rise. There's nothing but should be good vibes coming from your fan base as far as the future of what your team looks like. I like your general manager. I like that young coach there and what he does and some of the things he does. I love the defensive coordinator you guys got. He's absolutely amazing. So thanks, man. Appreciate it. Austin Williams, I'm a Dallas Cowboys fan. I'm sorry, Austin. I thought you were a Cardinals fan. My bad. My bad, man. Well, you guys will bounce back here. At least you know now they're going to sign Dak, it looks like, with Dalton's performance. I thought initially if Dalton comes in and tears it up, that might be a sign Dak ends up leaving. But now at least his value, I think, has been secured for you guys. Tough season for you guys. Injury is such a hard way to go out. Such a hard way to go out. I mean, that offensive line got beat up. You had a couple injuries defensively. It's a tough way to see when you have a real talented team that can't get the most out of what it could be because injury derails everything. We're seeing the Niners run into that a bit this year. Splashing skills. Anthony D, any info on Carson? I didn't see the injury happen. Something to do with his foot, Anthony. But we don't have a lot of I haven't heard anything else in the chat so far. DE Gaming, Cardinals fan here. I love close games like that. You guys played a hell of a game. Always a fun time when the Seahawks come to town. Wish you guys well. Well, I wish you guys well too. We played some barn burners. Oh, Millie, we want some barn burners. Old Keith Jackson there for you. And we do run into some barn burners between the two of us. We've had some great games over the last 4 or 5 years, it seems like, and you guys a lot of times get over the top of us on it. Great game, though. As you said, it's a fun game to watch. These are some great division matchups. Alex Sanchez says, how about them Cardinals? Yeah, about them. David Lee, 49ers fan here. Good to see someone still up talking football. That was a great game to watch. There were some good games today. 4:32 a.m. there. Ooh-wee, you up late, David. That's a committed football fan over there. And a nice win by your 49ers today. I'm impressed by the resolve and resiliency that your team has showed over the last couple of weeks. You guys could have gone in that Ram game and all the injuries you suffered and packed it up. You didn't. You played with a lot of spirit. Rams didn't show up that game, and they just looked like they were going through the motions, like they could just walk over you guys. Back-to-back weeks, you guys have come out with a lot of spirit. I mean, you guys are still you guys got some fight and some chance here when you're playing like that. When you're still playing with there's no tomorrow, play for today, back up against the wall, cornered animal, all those metaphors, all those apply. Derek Sakakita, just found you're awesome to hear. You live on Maui. Aloha and go Hawks from Kalihi on Oahu. I do indeed, Derek. I'm over on the West Maui side. Loving it. Loving life over here, man. Loving it. But thank you, man. Welcome on to the chat. Thank you so much. Please do subscribe. Smash that like button. Anthony D, those screens killed the Cards at the beginning. I'm sure the Cards fans here can say they hate those screens. The first drive we called 2 back-to-back. You know, the brutal play, too, and I thought Kyler had every right to get mad. The telecast tried to show, like, well, why is Kyler getting mad? And even when Patrick Peterson came over to him, I was like, I thought he had a right to be mad. Both of those tight ends were right up there on that screen. DeAndre Hopkins gets it. If either of those two tight ends block KJ Wright on that play, that goes for 25 yards without even blinking. So I thought he had a right to call it on that. And against your defense, if you're going to be a blitz-heavy scheme, you as an offense have to attack those blitz-heavy schemes with screen passes. That's the way you beat them, because they're trying to get all those guys upfield, which leaves a lot of open space short and open. If you get the blockers out and about, get those linemen out in space, you're going to be able to break off some chunk plays. But we didn't challenge you guys on that as the game went on. And that, I think, was part of the key of why we started to struggle with the blitzes, your guys' blitzes, as the game got into the third and fourth quarter. When Russell just didn't have it, you couldn't make a check, couldn't make an adjustment at the line, couldn't do anything against it. Flag Sabbath says, I dunk on Clowney because he's not on our team. Understandable. Fendi Benz, man, we should have won that. Yeah, we had a chance. We had our chances, man. We have no way to kick but ourselves. We had our opportunities. Den says, I really hope Pete Carroll realizes that our pass rush needs help. I hope, like I said, if not, this game didn't show them, if all the games this season haven't showed them, if the play of the defensive line last season didn't show them, nothing will ever show them, in my opinion. They'll just constantly think that the young guys will get it done at some point. They'll come along at some point. Daryl Taylor will come in here at some point. Rasheem Green will come in at some point. But I'm telling you now, that's not going to be enough. That's not nearly going to be enough. Jesse, our defense needs to hustle more and be more aggressive. I hope we fire our defensive coordinator now that we can pick up Dan Quinn. And you're on, Jesse, this has been a sentiment. I probably read that sentiment in this chat. 90 different guys have said that maybe. Maybe that's an overstating. Maybe it's only been like 50, but it's felt like 90. And I can't say that I agree with it, man. I get where you're coming from. It's been awful. And today, especially when you watch those soft zones, you saw that there was no blitzes that we were running on our side, just front 4-man pressure. We've run 3-man pressures with a quarterback spy. That didn't work. Nothing was working. There wasn't a lot of answers even being tried. That's the thing, is not even trying things. They're just staying with the same thing that's not working, that's getting beat up over and over again. And that starts the part where it gets really frustrating, on top of the just lack of talent that's been addressed over there. Derek Sakadita says, please comment on re-signing Carson. I get that he's injury prone, but he doesn't get the respect that he deserves. Yeah, he's a very good back, Derek. He's an upper level running back in this league. But the two reasons why I wasn't willing to re-sign him prior to the start of the season were he has the biggest fumbling problem in the NFL by far, and 2 of his first 3 seasons in the NFL have ended due to major injury. And if you're not available and you're not there at the end of the year when we need you, that's going to affect your value on the open market. The killer for me then really comes in on this, Derek, of the running back position in general has been devalued across the league. Those guys that get the contracts don't tend to perform up into those contracts. I know right now Derrick Henry is showing out this season, but for every Derrick Henry, then there is a Christian McCaffrey who signs his big deal and then goes right back downhill. To think that he's going to get healthier, to think that he's going to get better after he signs his contract does not fit with what we've seen in recent history with the running back position. My opinion is the running back position is one that you should really never draft in the 1st, 2nd, 3rd round. It should be one you pick between the 4th and 7th round. That would be how I would do it if I was running my personnel, and then I would use those picks in the early rounds for other positions that are harder to then find in the later rounds. So I still wouldn't be willing to sign him to a contract, Derek, because of those 2 issues that I mentioned were the reasons I wasn't willing to sign him to an extension before the season. One of those issues still does remain. He needs to play through the whole season. I can't have him keep getting dinged and dunked and turned, and it's just too often he does. Too often. Flag Sabbath, Quentin Jefferson. I was okay with them losing Quentin Jefferson. I know he's playing well for the Bills, but he's not a guy that he was what he was to me. He was what he was to me. He's just a guy. Just a guy. I wouldn't have paid him the money they paid him. I'm okay. He can go bye-bye. He was not the answer for us. But we did need to, with him being lost, you did need to retool. You need to reload then that loss, as small as that loss was. David Lee looking for a safe word. I do get to the point where you have to turn it off and come back to it. These games get your heart going. It is, man. There's times where I think I'm going to record the game. I'll look at the score. Then I'll just watch the game through knowing what will happen. And that'll just keep me patient. And I'm just going to chill out and be a happy little guy. But I don't have the fortitude to do that and wait. I got to watch it live, and so you just got to take it. Right there, we just got to make our peace with it, David. Just strap ourselves in. It's going to happen week in and week out for the rest of the year. This is just who we are. This is how it's going to be. And maybe we lose a few of us throughout the way. Maybe a few of us happen to pass on. But if it's for a Super Bowl championship, I'm sure those people will tell you that it was worth it. Fendaban says we need Jamal Adams back. We do need Jamal Adams back. Christian Yorgola, AZ, let's go. Nah, they played good. I love and hate the weekly heart attack, says Jesse. I do too. It's getting rough on me. Den, you live in Hawaii. I do. I live in Maui. I just moved. Envy and M Alive. Best games are always the Cards versus Seahawks games. Can't argue with that, man. This one felt like that 6-6 game a couple years ago. Just every twists and turns, and you're sure it's a loss, and the guy's going to kick the chip shot for the win, and then he misses it, and then it's back, and now we're going to win, and then no, they got it back, and interception. It's brutal. Welcome to the chat, Envy. And you too, Christian and David. Envy says you guys are going to come out on fire. I hope so, man. We need to fix something on we need to do some fixings on our defensive side of the ball, though. We need to fix it. Anthony says, who in the division do you think can test the Seahawks the most for the division title? I'm right on the line, Anthony, between the Rams and the Cardinals. I mean, I'm right there with you guys. If you guys had Chandler Jones, I'd put you up ahead of the Rams. You guys would be. But the loss of Chandler Jones to me is a major one. That's the one that's going to hurt throughout the whole year. And it's going to be a game or 2 or 3 throughout the year. I think that does cost you guys against a certain given opponent. But with that said, even with his loss, you brought in Marcus Golden, who's going to be a good complementary rusher there in for you guys. Him and Hassan Riddick should be enough to get it done with that defensive scheme. So maybe it's very close. It's paper thin close. It's like they say with the pyramids, They put those 20-ton rocks, 3,000 years ago, so far between each other, you can't get a laser pointer between them. They're so tightly put together. It's probably that close as far as the Rams and the Cardinals and who I would look at right now. The unsportsmanlike conduct call killed us. It did, but it was the right call. You can't. The NFL has put this rule in over the recent years. If you're going to go over the top of that lineman, you can't touch him in any way, shape, or form. It's got to be like the Bobby Wagner jump a couple years ago where he jumped over the center and then blocked the kick. You got to clear the center. You can't even have the cleat skim the back of his jersey, or it's a flag. Den says, "Bruh, I live on the Big Island. Hey man, I'll be over on that Big Island at some point, one or another for my job, I'm sure. So." It's lovely living in Maui, man. It's living the dream. Anthony Carrasco, Cardinals fan here. Great game. Watched all the post-game interviews from both teams. Your players are incredible, both on and off the field. I particularly loved Lockett's interview. Lived in Seattle for 5 years now. I'm going to have to go watch that interview, Anthony. You're the second person that's mentioned it. Seems like he really had some good little thoughts there as far as tidbits go. And it was a great game. Fantastic game, well played on both sides of the football, hard-fought game. All the players were in it and fighting their asses off. You guys were just the better team today. No two ways about it. No two ways about it. But appreciate it, man. And thanks for jumping on in here. Appreciate all you Cardinal fans hopping in and giving this a watch. Austin Williams, the Cardinals are quietly good this year. Watch out, NFC West. They are. And I thought they were going to be good at the start of the year. I had you guys going 10-6 at the start of the year in my predictions. So I knew you guys were going to be good. I knew you were trending upwards from last year. Derek Sakaida, how do you think Brooks did tonight? There were a few plays where his speed looked like a real asset. I'd agree with your assessment, especially on the stop on Kyler Murray down there near the end zone, that fourth down stop they had. I think on third down, Kyler would look like he had maybe the edge there, and Jordan closed it down and was able to get to him. I thought he was he had some tackles. I thought he was pretty quiet overall. He didn't flash a ton to me. But what's first kind of full game through, really rolling around and going. I sure would like to see more of him in a spiral on Kyler as the game went on, maybe even. That was a little odd that we didn't see that try to be implemented at all. He did it good in college against Kyler, but no such luck, I guess. Austin Williams, Russell Wilson is best mobile, but the Cardinals made him look normal. Yeah, it was more to me, Austin, that they did a good job with the blitz scheme. And Russell can get confused at times if you're exotic enough and you vary it up enough with your blitz game. You can confuse him. That has been something with him early on in his career. It was especially a troublesome thing with him. He's gotten better about it over as the years have gone along. But it still is a thing from time to time that pops up where you go, Russ, why didn't you see that blitzer coming off the edge? Why didn't you recognize that guy coming down into the box? Why didn't we have the protection set there? Sometimes here and there. Marcus Coviso, how do you feel about our chances to beat the Niners? What can realistically be done in a week? Well, you're going to get Jamal Adams back and Snacks Harrison back, so that's something that's going to help you out. Those are guys that are improvements over what you have out there right now. They are. I would put our chances of beating the Niners about 80% because I think we're going to come out there with something to prove and be a little bit on fire. And I just think it's going to probably go that way. But it's going to be a close game. It's going to be a hard-fought game. I don't think it's going to be a blowout. Probably another one of those shootouts at 31-28 type score. Brian McAdams says, if Seattle gets knocked out in the playoffs, will you root for any NFC West teams or will it be anyone but a division rival? Honestly, I can't do the thing where I vote for another team after my team loses. I know other people can do that. I can't do that. I'm a homer. I'm a Seahawks fan through and through. It's how I'm cut. I just can't root for another football team. It's just not possible for me to do it. But, I can't do it. I just can't. No. No. Insidious 6, that's dumb. I don't know what you're talking about on Insidious. Marcus says, this team, win or lose, just has no quit. I love the Seahawks for it. I can't imagine rooting for any other team. Either can I. And that is something that you can say about them is that they will always fight to the every last snap, man. Every last snap. Den asks if I've tried poke yet. Actually, I'm a really picky eater, Den. I'm like super picky and I hate seafood. So you can imagine how that's going for me in Maui. But I know I've heard poke is great. People love it. It's amazing. I just can't do anything fishy. Screw H&L says, screw Bill O'Brien. Seahawks H&L says, screw Bill O'Brien. Dumbest trade in history, giving away Hopkins. He's going to torch us for years. Well, the good news is I do think Hopkins is getting longer in his career than shorter in his career. I don't think he's a guy who's going to play for 5 more years in this league and at a high level like he's playing now. But we got a couple more years of it's going to be a little bit tough and rough. I agree with you there. I think we got a couple years of like, God, this guy's tough. He's just tough. Jesse, I would love a rematch of the Seahawks Steelers in the Super Bowl. I would too. I'd be cool with that, man. I'd be cool with that. Kind of make the universe right again after they stole 2005 from us. Space, how you doing? Dylan Yost, I'm just glad this is a wake-up call for our team. You would think it would be that. Though I don't know. Maybe they look at it like we had in our hand and we just barely lost. You know, it wasn't like they got ran out of the building. But who knows? Anthony D., I'm not sure if you know much of Hassan Reddick, but he's really changed from being looked at as a bust to having around 5 sacks already. Made some really big plays recently. I do know a lot about Hassan Reddick. I actually did a lot of research on him originally in the draft, looking at him for Seattle when he was coming out. And I liked him when you guys picked him. Another one of those guys, it's a little bit like Anthony Simmons, where you've got to know how to use the player. It's a little bit like Budda Baker. You got a lot of these kind of guys, and it's actually the perfect type of defense to have for a blitz-heavy scheme. Because it's just how to use the player appropriately, how to put him in the right positions to succeed. A guy like Hassan Reddick, don't have him blitzing or rushing every time at the quarterback. Sometimes use his ability in pass coverage, because he has some ability in pass coverage. Don't just try to put him into a box. You know, let him be out there free-willing a little bit. And that's when he's at his best, and that's what I think they've learned to do with him. So, yeah, I have been watching his development, Anthony, and he has come along to become a solid player for them. Solid player. Not spectacular, but a solid guy. Jovan says, I don't think Diggs is playing as well as we thought he would play. Maybe. I think more of the problem is the outside corner play, Jovan, than it is necessarily Diggs. Though I don't think he's playing upper-level free safety play necessarily. Got to pick tonight, though. Got to pick in this game. Anthony D. Wilson had a lot of rushing yards. I'm pretty sure more than Kyler. He did. Yeah, he was running a lot in this game. He was running a lot. Anthony, do you think the Niners will be successful with Jimmy G at quarterback, or will they move on from him? They'll move on from him, Anthony. I think after this year, you're going to see them move on from him. He's so limited as a quarterback, and he doesn't have any of the mobility stuff. And if you're not going to have the mobility stuff and be more of kind of the statue kind of quarterback in the pocket, you've got to be able to have a big-time arm. You've got to be able to make the throws to the sticks, throws to the to essentially the sideline routes, out past the hash marks. He's great inside the hash marks. He's got a fantastic delivery. He's got a quick release. He's very accurate on those short routes. He understands the timing and all that, but when you then you take those away and you got to test him out to the edges and force him to make a 20-yard out route throw, he struggles with that. As well, if you get some pass rush after him and get him into a point where he starts seeing ghosts, he gets happy feet real quick. In my opinion, if I was to make a guess, I would not be the least bit surprised this offseason to watch the San Francisco 49ers go after Matt Ryan and flip out Garoppolo for Ryan. I would not be surprised to see that kind of move made at all. Or even Stafford, if he becomes available. Brian says, by the way, you guys helped a charity bet here in AZ. Keyshawn Johnson bet AZ Sports Talk Show host 1,000. The Cardinals wouldn't win 8 this year. It's all about helping others. Oh, that's good. No, at least we lose. We lose for charity. It's always good. And help the children. All right. Well, we are at almost 4 hours here of the live stream. I think I've gotten to pretty much most of the questions. Let's get any of the last few ones in here. I want to give one more big prop out here to the Cardinal fans who come in the chat. You guys are always welcome to come in here, especially when you're bringing the good questions and the good talk, and you just want to talk shop, talk football shop. That's all I like to do. I don't care if it's other teams or our teams. I just like talking football shop and how matchups work and how talent's built together and teams are built. This stuff's really interesting to me. It's always going to be interesting. It doesn't matter if it's just my team or other teams. It was a hard-fought game this week. This was a back-and-forth division thing. I think we're going to get a few more of these before the year's over with. You Cardinal teams are on the rise. You got a lot to feel good about. Our team, we got a lot good to feel good about. We got to go out and make a move, though. I started out this live stream with this. I'm going to end out with this. I'll get to your last little questions here, folks. But the pass rush needs to be developed now, today. Do not stick with what you have right now. If the Seattle Seahawks stick with what they got now, there is no Super Bowl title in this future. There is not. They need pass rushing help. Standing pat, hoping Jamal Adams, hoping Snacks Harrison, Daryl Taylor, Rasheem Green are going to be enough to bring this boat ashore. It's not. You'll get grounded. You'll get a tilt. You'll turn into the Titanic. And this is what we saw last year when Ziggy Ansah was done and you put a fork in him. And you were relying on Jadeveon Clowney with his abdomen problem to get you any kind of pass rush, and he's the only guy that could. We're going to run into that again if we don't make a move. Luckily, I think there will be a move made. I think they've probably seen enough. I would be awestruck to learn to find out that they have not seen enough with the deficiency of this pass rush to go make at least one move. All right, let's get through the last questions here. Shane After says, Russ had the 5th most rushing yards today. We can't expect him to run for 75 yards a game. No, we can't. He cannot at all. Den says, where did you used to live? I used to live over Spokane in Seattle. Most of my life I've lived in those areas. Recently Spokane, most of my life in Seattle. Jesse, I feel like it was a good thing we lost, or else our defense would have thought they were doing good. Maybe. I sure would like to have known that they won and still realized they did bad. But this could be a silver lining. I'm open to that possibility. That's how football works. Teams get motivated, Den, when did you move here? I moved here about 2 months ago, Den. Got a great job opportunity, so I had to take it, especially in this market. Seahawks HNL says, think Packers and Bucks are better, but we're up there. I could probably agree with that. I agree with that. The ST21 cards. What's up, ST21? Thanks, Bill O'Brien. Yeah, you guys better be thanking him so much. Every night, you Cardinal fans better be going to bed saying, and thank you, Bill Bryan. Thank you, Bill Bryan, for being so stupid. You guys got to flip out the David Johnson contract with that deal, too. Absolutely, simply amazing. Amazing. Derek Sakakita. Go and try Guri out there in Maui. If you haven't, trust me. Thank me later. I will. I'm looking for some good food places, Derek, so I will look it up. Absolutely looking for some good places. Also, what do we do with Finney? Is his contract longer than 1 year? It's for 2 years. You could get out of it after 1 year pretty easy. It's not a lot of money, Derek. I think if I had a hope and prayer, it's that you could maybe move him somewhere, somehow to another team. I think Justin Britt's out there on the streets. You could bring in as your backup center. I don't think he's been a fit here. I don't think the team liked what they saw from him when they brought him into training camps. Part of the reason why Posick won the job, though I think Posick's the better player. But he doesn't seem to be exactly what they thought he was going to be when they got him. Though, again, they didn't give him a lot of money. So it was like a 2-year, $5 million deal. It's not like they broke the bank for the guy. Showam, I don't want to rub it in your face, but good game. I can't wait for our next game, Cardinals fan. That's not rubbing my face at all, Showman. I appreciate you guys coming in and saying what's up and props to you guys. Your team played a great game. Kyler Murray's a young quarterback on the rise. He's doing well. I like the talent you guys are assembling. I like how you're building a team. I love your defensive packages and some of that blitz stuff that you guys run. I'm jelly, man. When I watch our simplistic blitzes run up their 5-man blitzes where it gets blocked up every time, it's tough to see sometimes when you're confusing our quarterback and other quarterbacks. But props to you guys and all you fans. You all Cardinal fans came in here and kept this chat lively with our Hawk fans, got along. We all chilled and just said, hey, it was a great game and appreciated it. Football can be that way. We don't have to sit here and fans and scream at each other and call names and do all this. And your team's so, my team's so, my team's all in your team. Nah, come on, let's be intelligent about it. And you guys were. Props to all of you out there. If you're new in this chat, please do smash that subscribe button and the like button and also the notification bell, because sometimes YouTube doesn't let you know when I do go live. For you new people, Cardinals guys, we do streams during the week with my buddy D-Mac, little hour in and out sessions. And then I do post games and great Seahawks moments, a whole bunch of videos and stuff, all that stuff. You can see it on my channel. Thank you for all the subscriptions tonight. We had a bunch of new subscribers. You guys with the super chats were amazing. The donations off the chain, and you Cardinal fans, I'm gonna look forward to seeing you guys back in the chat in a couple weeks. We will get our revenge. Oh yeah.